Welcome, everybody, to the PodAskew Podcast. I am C.J., and with me is my hetero life mate, Rico. What's going on, Lunchbox?
Lunchbox, is that what I am now? Hello, everyone. How are you?
I was watching Dogma the other night, and it just hit me, so...
Yeah, but I'm not silent like Silent Bob. I just look like Silent Bob.
Yeah, I don't know what the Lunchbox is exactly. I'm not sure where the Lunchbox thing came from or what it means, but it's something Kev uses, so...
It means he's fat.
Well, that's... Okay. I mean, that's not why I used it. I just thought in our dynamic it fit.
All right, well, snooch the fucking nooch. All right.
Yeah. Which, by the way, on our News and Nuts episode that we put out, I should have called that Snoogans and then spelled it N-E-W instead of N-O-O. I think that would have been a better way to call the news ones. I might call one of the future ones that.
Or just snooch the news.
Yeah, something like that. So, what's going on, man?
If we're ever going to do an episode about Jason News, we'll just call it Jason News.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. I don't know if... I guess we could probably do a whole episode on Muse if we really wanted to. I'm sure.
Yeah. We could do a whole episode of more or less probably anything.
Yeah. Oh,
we could do an episode on Lego.
You know what? We probably could, and I have a really cool thing to tell you, and if you ever want to break into it, we could, but So, have I talked on here about being adopted? I know you know this, but have I talked about it on here?
You have not. I think you have alluded to it.
I've alluded to it?
Yeah, but I don't think you've point blank stated it.
Okay, well, I'm not ashamed of it or hiding it or anything. So, I'm adopted, and in the last couple of years, I've connected with my biological parents, and my biological father has a Lego... I don't want to call it a Lego company, but he makes things that are interactive with Lego blocks. But they're like unique shapes or specific things. So like one of the things I know he has is like a set of trains, but they're not Lego, but they're not Lego branded, but he has Legos okay. Like he's got the thumbs up from Lego. It's weird. I don't know all the dynamics of it, but it's something like that.
All right.
Yeah,
it's like the off-brand like Lego. Like,
no.
Instead of Lego, it's L-I-G-O?
No. I don't remember what he calls them, but they're Lego endorsed. That's probably the best way to phrase it, you know.
Okay.
So,
all
right. Anyway, but that's just, since you mentioned Legos. So, we're doing I don't want to call it a news episode, but we're going to talk about some things going on in the world. And one of the things that we should start with is news in our world. We are part of a network now. We are part of the Podcast A Go-Go network.
That's right.
So, yep, very exciting. They approached us a while back and asked if it's something we want to be a part of. I looked at their stuff. They got a lot of cool shows. I can't list them all off the top of my head. Actually, I could probably look them up right now. I should. But they have things about wrestling and video games and movies and just flat out comedy. I don't know what category they're putting us in yet. I haven't gotten that information, but they're putting us somewhere. So...
They're putting us in the same spot where your dad's Lego company is.
Yeah. Oh, thanks, Rico.
Just kind of like, it's not Lego, but it's like Lego, and they're endorsed by Lego, but there's not really Lego. Like,
they're Lego.
We're going to be that podcast. People are like, they're kind of funny, but they're not really funny, but they're endorsed by funny people. But, yeah.
Are we really endorsed by funny people?
I don't know. Stephanie's funny.
That's true. Okay, fair enough. Anyway, no, but some of the stuff we do want to get into is, Roseanne for one. So,
oh God, yeah, this was a motherfucker. I mean, I don't know about you, but I grew up. I grew up watching the Roseanne show. And even though I was never a fan of Roseanne as a person or as a comedian, I was a fan of the show because it was just funny.
It was.
And it was sort of it was sort of the random show where it was like, these people are poor. And, like, you don't see that. I mean, for me, it was all about John Goodman. Like, I was a big John Goodman fan because I was, like, a little kid. I recognized his voice on, like, Disney movies and animated movies. And he's just barrels of fun. And I mean that physically as well as, you know, emotionally as well as metaphorically. He's just always he was just he was like a good-natured John Belushi.
Yeah, absolutely. And I have long said that, well, long said's not the right word. See, okay, so when Deb came into my life, she started watching old shows again. Like, that's something she does. And I'm not finding fault or criticizing anything like that. It's just something she does. So, like, we watch a lot of old Roseanne reruns and Golden Girls and shows like that a lot on, like, Saturdays. So I've spent the last couple years rewatching almost every Roseanne episode there was. And I've come to the conclusion, long before any of this stuff happened with her saying racist shit this time, because it's not the first time she said racist shit, but
or done something racist.
Yeah. That Roseanne really isn't what made that show funny. You know what I mean? Like you said, I think John Goodman was like the real star of that show, but the kids helped, Jackie helped, the grandmother helped. Like, Roseanne to me has always been the ancillary character in that cast.
Yeah. I mean, which brings us to the question is, like, right now, can they do a Roseanne show without Roseanne?
Well, I've heard go ahead. Sorry.
The answer is yes. I mean, how they would make that happen where it's like, oh, she died, or like similar to how she ended like that final season where like it was. Do you remember like the final season originally was like all a dream or some shit?
No,
it was it was all of her writings of what could have been.
Well, and Deb and I actually get into the fight that. See, I'm with you. I think it was just the last season it was at. She swears that Roseanne, in her last monologue, explaining all that, says that the entire series is that.
Just I'm okay with that type of, like, twist if it's done correctly as well as intelligently. But it just seemed like everything that she had, to me, it was just sort of like a snap against her fans. Like, everything that you guys have like followed for the past 8 years or whatever the fuck it was.
It's all bullshit.
You know, it's all bullshit. You know, it'd be like, I mean, for me personally, the only time I reacted so like, are you out of your fucking mind kind of reaction was like the finale of Dexter.
I never watched it, so I can't.
Can I ruin that for you?
Oh,
Are you
absolutely.
ever planning on watching Dexter?
No, I have no desire. I have no plan or desire, and even if I do, so what? Go ahead.
So, do you know the basic premise of Dexter?
Yeah, I think I do. Let me tell you when you correct any gaps I have. So, it's a guy.
Go ahead.
If I'm correct, is he a cop that kills people because they can't catch these people or prove that they're serial killers? Basically,
sort of. He's a forensic. He's in the forensics of the Miami Metro PD.
So he's Barry Allen in that regard.
Yeah, he's Barry. So what he is he is a serial killer that has been trained from his foster father from an early age because he had the urge to kill because of a trauma that he finds out later in his life. But he always had this urge to kill. And his father, who was a cop and as well as like a detective, I think, like saw the impulses and sort of like had his code and said, look, if you're going to kill people, you should only kill people that fit this code, which is other killers that, you know, deserve to be killed. And then you can channel your addiction or urges onto people who actually deserve it, not innocent people or animals or children or whatever. So he's, you know, when we see him, he's got like two personalities. He's got like the dark passenger is what he calls it, which is his darkness taking over, sort of like taking over the wheel. Like instead of Jesus take the wheel, it's like, here, dark passenger, take the wheel. Let's go kill someone.
Okay.
But he plans it meticulously, and he because he's got all these files and backgrounds and credentials working for the police department, he can find out really easily if someone is actually guilty. Right. Plus, he is a serial killer, so he can spot his own kind very easily.
It's what is Brody? I think Brody says Brody says in Mallrats, you're the type that would pay for sex. We can smell our own.
Yes.
Yeah.
So
sorry.
So throughout the whole show, there's always, in each season, there's always the big bad. There's always the one serial killer that's fucking up Miami, and he wants to kill them for his own personal reasons, and then the cops are trying to get him for their jobs and everything. And there's a lot of people die, and I mean every person it's sort of all bets are off. It's all bets are off type of show where oh shit, they killed so and so, that's a big character. Wow, what the fuck?
Yeah.
So and he whenever the cops are getting close to the killer, and he's getting no, I have to be the one to kill them, he manipulates the system and has the cops go somewhere else, or he'll pin it on someone else. So he's always doing it for his own justification, and his personal life gets fucked up, because they're all based on books, and I've read some of the books. The books are similar but very different. The show is more straightforward, and the character itself is more personal, whereas in the book he describes himself frequently as an alien, as a monster, and doesn't even feel human. He doesn't look at himself as human. So he, as a character, is always I have to blend in. Right. So he's always blending in by being the donut guy. He comes into work with a box of donuts, so he's likable and noticeable, but easily forgettable.
Right. There's that's from Oceans. The Ocean's 11. Do you remember that when there's from Ocean's 11 when he's teaching Linus how to con?
Exactly.
Yeah, he's you got to be memorable, but he's got to forget you the minute you walk out the room, that kind of thing.
Exactly. So it's very similar to that, and also at the same time, if he gets outed as a serial killer, they're going to be what? Dexter?
Right.
No fucking way. But then there's occasionally some other characters that see him running around 2 a.m. What the fuck is Dexter doing up? And they confront him well, I saw you out 2 a.m. And then he kind of has, there's a lot of internal monologue of fuck, now this person's tracking me. What the fuck do I do? So it's an amazing series. Some seasons are better than others. The 4th season alone, is honestly is just TV gold. Is so fucking amazing that I'm rewatching all the Dexters, and I'm just this 4th fucking season, man. You CJ, and any listeners, if you're oh, I haven't started Dexter, just start the 4th season, and then that'll be oh shit, I need to watch everything.
I think it's on Netflix. I do. I think it's on Netflix.
It's all on Netflix, and I mean, I have most of the seasons on DVD, but I also watch it on, because I'm laying in bed, I'm oh, I got the fucking DVDs over there. I'm fuck it, Netflix is right here. And it breaks my heart because I work at a fucking video store. And
right.
But yeah,
so what was the holy fuck moment though? You said there was a.
Oh, I don't want to ruin that because there's a holy fuck. Well, I'll tell you the.
Well, that was the point of bringing it up. You might as well.
No, because I want you to see it, because it's one of the biggest twists of one of the most unexpected TV moments. You're just oh my god, they went there.
Well,
but I will tell you.
Yeah, to be fair, I don't know if I'm going to see it, but go for it.
You want me to tell you?
You might as well, because I think the likelihood of me watching it is low.
For 80 listeners that are halfway through Dexter, haven't finished the 4th season, there's a big, massive spoiler. So I'm giving you a countdown. 3. If you want to skip this, Like, you want to, like, basically mute this for, like, the next maybe 2 minutes. All right. 3, 2, 1. His wife, that he had originally used as a cover, and then eventually impregnates, and she's got 2 kids of her own, and she's played by I'm gonna mess up her name. Let me just look on the back of a Dexter DVD. Hang on. Julie Benz. I knew it was something to do with like a Mercedes. I was like, it's not Mercedes, it's Benz. That's what it is. Julie Benz was on Buffy. I mean, she's one of those actresses that you would recognize, but you can't always place. But she's well known for Dexter. She plays Rita, and Rita originally was just a cover because he needed, like, he's like, well, normal people have girlfriends, so I'll have a girlfriend. And she comes from a very abusive past relationship. Both of her kids are from her, heroin using husband, who beats her all the time. And that's how he meets her. Is his sister. That's the other thing I forgot to mention. His sister, or his foster sister, is also a cop. So they work together. And so, like, he's always kind of, like, covering his tracks, just also so she doesn't find out he's a serial killer. Spoiler, 6th season, she does. And that makes the show really interesting when she's, like, realizing after all these years, like, what he's been doing. But anyways, 4th season, there is the big bad of the 4th season is known as the Trinity Killer. And he's played by John Lithgow.
He plays a really good villain, period.
He is, but you've never seen him like this.
Probably
because
not.
My John Lithgow experience, I guess, was very limited to, like, Third Rock from the Sun and maybe Shrek. Very kind of kiddie, kind of friendly, funny shit. With the exception of, like, The World According to Garp.
My first exposure to him was a movie called The Santa Claus Movie, and it's not the Tim Allen one. That's probably what you're thinking, but it's not that one.
I don't know that version, but
it actually has Dudley Moore in it. Dudley Moore plays an elf.
Dudley Moore, John. Really?
Yep, Dudley Moore's an elf. I forget who Santa Claus is, and John Lithgow plays the CEO of this toy company who's just massively corrupt. And Dudley Moore leaves North Pole, and has some of the stuff that helps the reindeers fly, and somehow Lithgow's character convinces him to put it into their candy canes, and kids can fly now. Not like permanently, like it wears off. So, and there you go. And that's the movie.
Sounds like a metaphor for drugs. Be like, hey kids, you want to fly? I got some stuff for you.
No, it's not quite like that, but I can see where you get that from.
Well, it's Dudley Moore. Dudley Moore's like,
Well, I think that's Arthur, not Dudley, but just me.
Dudley loved to drink too, man.
All right, fair enough. But anyway, finish your point about Dexter.
That's not Santa Claus. So he's the big bad, and he is a serial killer, but he's also, like, his cover is like he is like a deacon of a church. He is a teacher, and he's been doing this for 30 years. Like, he's been killing for 30 years, and his ritual is he does it the same thing in 3. So first a woman dies in a bathtub. So he, like, strangles them from behind and pulls them. He's, like, naked. They're naked. He pulls them into the bathtub full of water and then cuts their femoral artery. So they bleed out, and he's holding them. Then he bludgeons a father of 2 to death with a hammer. Then the third one is a mother commits suicide by letting go or falling from a tall building. Okay. So he manipulates all that. He does the bludgeoning, and he lets the person, like, he tells them to let go to jump to their death. Like, he's like, it has to be this way. And because you find out that's what happened to him in his youth. He saw his sister in the shower. She slipped, cut her leg open and bled out instantly. This father was abusive, and he finally went up against his father, killed him with a hammer, and then his mother, through the grief, jumped and killed herself. So they've been trying to track this guy for fucking years, blah, blah, blah. Dexter gets wind of it, tries to fucking, and then, like, finds out this guy is a father of 2 and seems happy and seems like he's been doing this for, over 30 years, and he's got his life together. So he, like, kind of was like, well, I'm a father now, and I'm married. I really kind of am really curious how he does this. So he gives himself, a fake name, and he sort of, becomes a sort of protege, not as a serial killer, but a protege of just like, hey, I need some guidance. I'm going through some marriage trouble. Can you help me out? So they become sort of friends, and then they find out about each other and blah, blah, blah. There's a whole cat and mouse thing. Finally, he catches him, he kills him, and does his thing, and he's like, finally, I caught him, blah, blah, blah. Then when he goes home, he and his wife were supposed to, like, go on their honeymoon. Because they had gotten married and had a kid, but because of the kid, it sort of halted their honeymoon. So he goes home, finally relaxed that Trinity's killed, and it's all over, blah, blah, blah. And he's listening to his voicemail, and it's his wife, and she says, hey, honey, I completely forgot my password. I'm coming home. I'll see you at the airport or whatever, blah, blah, blah. So he's, like, packing up, and then he calls Rita, and her cell phone is, like, in the living room. And he's like, what the fuck? And then he hears his baby crying, and he runs to the bathroom, and he sees Rita in the bathtub full of blood.
Oh.
And his son, who's an infant, sitting on the floor with blood underneath him and all around him. And that mirrors what happened to him, because that's the trauma, is that Dexter was more or less born in blood. When he was about 2 years old, he witnessed his mother getting killed in front of him. So now the same thing is happening to his son. And, like, we had followed, like, the whole Rita Dexter thing for 4 years, and then all of a sudden she's dead.
Yeah, that's a big fuck you.
And there's a whole part where, like, he likes to talk to his victims right when he's about to kill them. So, like, he has them in a room, and they're strapped down with, like, a lot of tape and a lot of saran wrap, and he can kind of be himself for a moment, where he's, like, completely open. And then after you find out that Trinity, as his last act before he got caught, killed Dexter's wife, you rewatch that scene, just like, oh shit, like, he alludes to it. Because at one point he says, it's already over. And Dexter kind of looks at him like, what? He's like, it's already over. It's already been done. Meaning, you can kill me, but you'll never, ever get me back for what I just did to you.
Yeah, I think that's a bigger fuck you moment or what the fuck moment than Roseanne. Just saying.
Yeah, but that's my point. Is like that was a bigger fuck you moment than Roseanne, but that was still. But that's not even the whole fuck you thing. The ending. So now you go forward 4 more seasons, and more crazy shit happens. There's another serial killer this season, and another one that he has to track down. And now he's got to deal with the fact that his wife is dead. He's grieving, and it's all his fault. And he can't tell people that it's all his fault, because he does the whole classic, like, it is my fault. And like, no, you were a great husband and a great father. What are you talking about? He's like, I want to tell you, I deserve to be locked up for what happened to Rita, blah, blah, blah. And then his sister finds out that he's a serial killer. She kind of like helps him out at one point. I mean, it's been a long time since I've get to like God. I'm going through that, but season finale. His sister is in a coma and she dies. So, and at the same time, there's this giant fucking hurricane thunderstorm that's about to but fuck up Miami. And he takes her body and goes out in his boat, and there's like, lightning and thunder, and everyone's evacuating Miami and shit like that. He's dating some fucking crazy like other serial killer chick, and she takes his son with his permission, like, here, we're gonna go to like some like Colombia, or we're gonna go to fucking Cuba or something. We're gonna meet out in some Latin country. I'll meet you there. And then he takes his boat and dumps his sister in the ocean, and then sails out into the storm. And we're like, oh shit, he's sacrificing everything he's sacrificing his life so his son has a good life, blah, 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 blah. And then the show ends, and then you get to see a man as a lumberjack, and he's chopping wood with a bunch of guys, and then he walks away. He's got a big beard. You can't really kind of tell who it is. And then it's revealed he's Dexter. He's going to a cabin. He's got a big fucking lumberjack beard. He's got an axe, and he sits down alone, and then he looks at the camera, and it ends. So the ending for one of the greatest shows ever is he turns into a lumberjack.
Okay.
So if you were like me, following the show like every fucking week, just like, oh shit, that guy's dead. Oh shit, Rita's dead. Oh shit, his sister knows. Oh, and they're like, he's a lumberjack? Really? What the fuck? And then they keep talking like, oh, well, maybe we'll make another season and rectify this. And all the fans are like, nope, you did what you did. Fuck you guys. You cannot come back from lumberjack. That's some bullshit.
Well, I'm still not sure that's on par with the Roseanne one. I think that's probably more of a fuck you than a what the fuck. But I hear you.
Yeah, I'm just saying it was like, because I did what you did. I rewatched a lot. I rewatched all the Roseanne, like 5 years ago. Just like somehow got. I don't know. A friend of mine probably downloaded them for me and like gave me all the torrents and shit. And then went through every single episode. I'm like, this show's funny. It's fucked up. It's relatable. That was the most important thing about the show. It was relatable.
Yeah, and it honestly still holds up. For a show that's 20 plus years old at this point, it still holds up. It really does.
And it's very conservative, but it's also it's got a lot of liberal. You get anybody can relate to it except for like rich people.
Right, right. Yeah, so I would agree. And did you watch the reboot at all?
No, I wanted to, but I just didn't. I think I have to. I think my mother might have downloaded it on her DVR or something like that, but like I haven't. I've seen clips of it, and the clips I've seen look promising. But at the same time,
it wasn't as good as the original, and I didn't expect it to be. I would have been surprised if it was, but it wasn't bad, and they addressed the Dan's dead thing. I thought that was a good way to do, and they did that. And they almost treated it like it didn't happen. And do you want me to tell you, or would you rather just say it?
You can tell me. I don't care.
Okay, so they go into the bedroom, and Dan's just laying in the bed with a CPAP mask on, right? Yeah. And she yells his name a few times, and he's like, "What?" And she goes, "I thought you were dead." And he wakes up and he takes the mask off. He goes, "Why does everyone think I'm dead?" And that's the extent of dealing with it. And then it's like he was always there. So
little joke, yeah.
Yeah. So it's a nod to it, and they did a lot of cool things. They because you remember at one point they switched out Becky's because Lacey Gorison or whatever her name is didn't want to do it for a while or whatever. So they gave, and her name is Sarah Chalky. I forget the E is silent, but anyway, they gave a nod to her. She actually had a role in the new show as a different character. That Becky was actually going to be a surrogate for her. So a surrogate mom. So it was neat. So anyway, but they handle some strong shit in things with, like, addiction. Roseanne was actually kind of dealing with an addiction problem towards the end of the season.
Of this season?
Yeah.
Was it Ambien?
No. It was opiate pain medication, though, because she had been talking about a knee problem throughout the season. And they didn't have the money for the surgery. And, of course, Obamacare was the reason for that, but we're not going to get into that. And decided by the end of it, they were going to do the surgery. Like, the last episode was them talking about her scheduling the surgery and how afraid she was. She's not as young as she used to be. What if she dies on the table? Whatever. You know, so that's how you can handle it. Because I'd heard a theory that they just kill off Roseanne, and my personal thought is you come back saying she went in for the surgery and it went awry. She died on the table. She doesn't actually have to appear for that. And then you change the name of the show to Dan. And you focus on Dan from there on. Because it's like, what was that show called? It was called Valerie's Family. And I forget, it's a show from the late 80s, early 90s. And it was a wife and a father and, 3 kids or whatever. And the show was very successful. But the mom actress, and it's a famous person, but I can't think of it. I'd have to look it up. But I guess she wanted more money or something. That I don't know. But something happened, and they agreed that she couldn't be on the show anymore. But they had a hit show, so they didn't want to cancel the show. So they killed her. In the script, They killed her, and they brought in Sandy Duncan as her sister. And they changed the show from Valerie's Family to the Hogan Family because it was something the Hogans were their last name. And they ran for 5 more seasons or something like that. So I'm not saying
they've done that before with certain shows. I mean,
yeah.
I mean, there's also been really successful fucking shows. I've been spinoffs. Wasn't the Jeffersons a spinoff of fucking the Archie Bunker Show or whatever the fuck that was?
It might have been, and then I think 227 was a spinoff of that, if I recall.
I mean, and sometimes they'll do the whole, the main person died kind of thing. I don't think they should call it that. I think they should just call it the Connors. Because I'd argue it's all about the Connors. And because we were saying, Roseanne may be the title character, but it's all about the family. So just call it the Connors.
No, I don't disagree with that. I think the idea was, since the show was called Roseanne, a singular name, to stay with that concept. But you're not wrong. It could easily be called that too. I think that was why the suggestion was made. This is something I saw on Twitter, so I'm not. ABC is not saying they're going to do this. This was people making suggestions on Twitter and stuff. So,
well, going to the show, was there? I don't know if there was any scenes in the show of any racism.
No, she actually had an African American granddaughter in the new season.
Oh, well, see, I don't know. So, I don't know if Roseanne is racist. I think she is.
She is. She's done this before.
I think she's mildly racist, but she's also. I think she also has mental problems.
Well,
that's important to talk about.
No, it is important to talk about, and I agree with you. And she has said that she has multiple personality disorder. So she does have this, but it doesn't. Well, can we agree that there's nothing that excuses what she said? It's just not. There's nothing that excuses it.
There's nothing that excuses what she said. I also, politically, she's been a very big Trump supporter.
Yes, very much so.
Were you at all surprised, though, with Roseanne, when you would have found out, Roseanne said something racist on Twitter, were you surprised?
Well, okay, yes and no, and here's why. Yes, I'm going to get the yes out of the way because the yes is the longer answer, so let me go with the no. No, because she's done this kind of shit before. And I've heard her say stuff that's bordered on racist shit that hasn't been racist shit, and I've seen her and heard her say some flat-out racist shit. So no. That didn't surprise me at all. Where the yes comes in is, and I had an argument with my biological mom about where we are in society, and I'll get into that in a minute because I think it does feed into this, and it brings up a very valid point. But Roseanne knows she's on I don't want to call it a second chance because she didn't fuck up enough to get, her show didn't end because it got canceled before. Well, I think it did, but not because she did something stupid. It had just done its run. It was on for 9 years or whatever it was. You know what I mean? So it's not because of making a mistake, but she's in a second chance, and you have to know in this society now, you have to watch what you say, especially with social media and whatnot, because you say the one wrong thing and you're done. And that's what happened. I mean, look, Whitney... Okay, so some background for people, even if you know this, Rico, I want to share with our listeners. Whitney Cummings was on the show. She's a stand-up comedian. She wasn't on the show on screen, but she was a showrunner, producer, or something like that. She left like a week before this happened. She just said, I'm not coming back for season 2. Now, why she wasn't coming back, it didn't say. What?
Whitney Cummings? I thought it was Wanda Sykes.
No. Well, I'm getting to that. Whitney Cummings was also involved with the show.
I didn't know that.
Yeah. And she had been involved in the original run before she was Whitney Cummings, before anyone knew who the hell she was.
Really?
Yeah. Not to get way off for a second, but Joss Whedon wrote a shit ton of Roseanne episodes. If you go back and watch an old Roseanne...
I knew that. I knew Joss got his start on Roseanne.
I didn't know that until I started watching the old episodes with Deb. Like, I'm watching one day, and this is long after Avengers, and I'm like, oh shit, Joss Whedon. But anyway, but then, as you mentioned, Wanda Sykes was involved with the show, and then she made the tweet, and Wanda Sykes basically threw the middle finger up and was like, I'm out of here. And she should have. I find no fault with that. She was absolutely right to do that, in my opinion. But... and then Sarah Gilbert threw a middle finger up at her, and so did Michael Fishman. Now, they didn't quit the show, but they distanced themselves as far from Roseanne as humanly possible.
Right.
So.
Or at least their PRs did.
No, the things I saw were on Twitter, and I can't speak for Michael Fishman as much, but I do. Look. There are celebrities that have people that run their Twitter. Absolutely. No question about that. I'm not that naive. But I think there are some that run their own. And I think Sarah Gilbert's one of them.
Yeah, I mean, based on her, she's on The Talk or The View. She's on one of those shows. So she's always been, she's on The Talk. She's always been very, not shy from speaking her mind.
Right. So, and then, because like another one I know I'm positive runs his own is John Cusack. Not that that's involved with any of this, but just as an example.
Right.
And so let's get into what she said, because I know, but there may be people listening that don't know exactly what she said.
Right.
So, she was up at like 1:45 in the morning. According to her, had been drinking because it was Memorial Day and using her Ambien. And she said, Muslim Brotherhood plus Planet of the Apes equals VJ, which stood for Valerie Jarrett, a former aide on the President Obama's cabinet.
Right.
And who happens to be an African-American woman. Now, Roseanne's come out and said she thought she was Jewish, which to me sounds like backpedaling.
Well, here's the irony is that Roseanne is Jewish. Like that's so it's like by her defense saying, well, I didn't know she was black. I thought she was Jewish. Does that make it any less racist?
No, not at all. Not at all.
But we talked about this off camera, but like you and I had both heard, or at least watched and heard the excerpts with Joe Rogan and Kevin Smith.
Oh, and great episode of the Rogan Experience. If you're a Kevin Smith fan, go watch that. It's a great episode. Sorry, I didn't mean it, but it's amazingly good.
And I watched that not just because of Kevin Smith. I didn't finish it, but I watched most of it because of Kevin Smith. But also because Joe Rogan,
smart motherfucker.
What?
That's a smart motherfucker. That guy knows his shit.
He wouldn't talk about something unless he knew what he was talking about. I mean, he's talked about I don't know if this is true, but this is what my experiences are. He's just as honest as any person on the radio. I mean, he puts it all out there.
Absolutely. I admire him for that. Yep.
And he said on the episode that he's like, I know Roseanne, and I talked to her on the phone about this, and she said to me, I thought she was Jewish. I never would have said what I said based on the fact that she's black. She used the whole like Ambien did this to me. And look, I mean, I think Ambien and alcohol is a very bad combination.
Oh, it absolutely is. I've seen it.
Yeah, I have not seen that particular mix, but I've heard stories of people being on sleeping medication, and like I had a cousin who, I don't know if it was part of her because she did this. She just did this without medication, or she did this because of medication. She would get up in the middle of the night and like break out like Haagen-Dazs. Like she would sleep eat.
Oh yeah, and Rogan tells a story about that on the episode.
Yeah, but like this was like happening. My cousin is now passed.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Due to accidental overdosing on medication. I think she took her meds while she was asleep, and I don't know. They labeled it a suicide, but the rest of the family is like, no, this was not intended. This was totally like
accidental,
fucked up.
Yeah,
accidental, and but like it fucked with her because she was like, she was not always a big woman, but she became bigger woman later in life because she would like try desperately to lose weight, and then like at 2 a.m. would get up and go eat a bunch of ice cream.
Right.
And then like her husband would have to like steer her back to bed. So I don't know if that was the medication or if that was just how she was, but there have been times where I've taken, because of my migraines, I tend to sleep a lot and then I can't sleep because I've slept all I could possibly sleep. So I've taken the sleeping medication and woken up in front of my sink. Like really weird thing where I'm like, I snap awake and I'm like washing my hands, and I'm like, what the fuck am I doing here?
Right.
And I remember like I would have a very visual dream of like my hands were dirty, like I fell in mud or something and I have to wash my hands. So then all of a sudden I'm up washing my hands and I snap awake because the water was too hot and it woke me up because I'm like, what the fuck? My hands are on fire. What's going on?
Right. But here's the thing. Oh, go ahead. Sorry.
So adding alcohol and also a chemical mental imbalance.
Right, because she has said she has personality disorder.
She also has had problems where like for years she has been like accusing like her father of rape or something.
Yeah, there's been a lot of stuff. Yeah.
Roseanne's always kind of been nutty. Like,
okay, but here's the thing. And before I say what I was going to say, let me tell you this quick story. I know someone who used to take Ambien and still might. I've lost contact with this person, but she would tell me that if I got a phone call or a text after 10 p.m. Eastern, because that's where we live, to ignore it.
To disregard it?
To disregard it, yeah, because when she would do that, you've heard of drunk texting. You may have even done it at some point, or drunk calling.
Is that just texting in your sleep, basically?
No, drunk calling. So you're hammered, and it's like, I want to
calling. I heard okay, yeah.
Drunk calling or drunk texting. So she said it was that same thing. It had that effect on her. So she got to a point where she started hiding her phone, or she would leave it like downstairs and then go to bed and take her medicine. Because she would just drunk text or drunk call people, or I guess Ambien call or whatever you want to call it. I'm not making light of it, but at the end of the day, and look, I loved what the president of the company who makes Ambien said. Ambien does not make you racist. I'm sorry, and I have to agree with that. It may make you say some shit you wouldn't have normally said, meaning like, okay, you would think it but not say it. That I could see, but that still means that you have to be at your core racist. You know what I mean? Sure,
I can agree with that. Ambien is just another. It's just another drug. It's just another form of alcohol. I mean, I've seen people that, like, I mean, what happened with Mel Gibson? Like,
yep.
You know, whether he's racist or not, he got hammered and he said some pretty racist shit.
Yep.
So it sort of brings out the inner demons full frontal. Like, what I was talking about, like Mel Gibson. Like, Mel Gibson said, like, racist shit. And I know people who swear they're not racist and then, like, get way too hammered. Excuse me.
Bless
Sorry.
you.
I think I'm allergic to bullshit.
Aren't we all?
Like, I know people who will just all of a sudden be a different person completely because of alcohol or because of drugs or because of the combination of the two or because they're on prescription medication for a disorder and then alcohol fucks it all up. I mean, yes, racism is not a side effect of Ambien, but if your friend, for example, had to keep her phone away from her because of Ambien, I mean, Ambien is not something to fuck with. That's my point. Is I'm not saying Ambien should be blamed, but it should not completely fall on Roseanne. I mean, I think there's a whole multitude of blame here. I think a lot of it is Roseanne. I think some of it should go to Ambien. I honestly think a little bit of it should go to ABC because they knew more or less what they were signing up for.
Yeah, no, that's true. Yeah.
They did the quickest fucking, like, beheading I've ever seen.
And
like, that was, I've never seen a company just, boom, fuck you, you're out.
Yeah, no, it was fast. It was really fast. Kevin actually, on that Joe Rogan episode, says it happened in a period of, like, an hour. Like, he heard about it, he went and took a nap, came up, woke up from the nap, and it was done. It was all done.
Like, it was not even like an investigation. It was just like, she said some shit we don't agree with. Fuck you. And I think, honestly, it would not have happened if, like, the other cast members hadn't, like, voiced their opinion, being like, I am not agreeing with what Roseanne said. I'm disgusted with what she said. So ABC was probably being like, oh, shit, we're going to have some major problems.
Well, and I think Wanda Sykes quitting the way she did had a big impact on it too, and I mean that in a positive way. But I think because when you have an African American woman as one of your executive producers, you know,
not to mention a member, an icon of the gay community as well.
Yeah, there's that too. Yeah,
I mean, shit, dude. Wanda Sykes is like, she's almost like a triple threat to a bunch of conservatives. Like, I mean, I find it surprising the fact that, like, Wanda Sykes would be attributed to
Roseanne.
To Roseanne. I mean, when I found, I was like, Wanda Sykes? Really? Yeah, I was more surprised with Whitney Cummings, but, like, for a different reason. I'm like, wow, Whitney Cummings, like, just the fact that she was a producer and it wasn't like Two Broke Girls. I'm like, that was surprising.
I never liked that show.
I think what?
I never liked that show, Two Broke Girls. It was.
I never watched it. I saw clips of it, but I never. I mean, it just looks. I think it'd be a better show if it was like on like HBO, where they could actually be more filthy and be because it's like it's a filthy show, but in a sitcom like PG-13 oriented audience.
As long as I got to see the blonde chick naked, I'd be happy.
Well, I'd be more interested in seeing Kat Dennings, but that's a whole other thing.
Well, I wouldn't argue against either, but
I'm sure our respected girlfriends are going to love this part of the episode.
Yeah, well, mine never listens, so we're good.
Yeah, we should probably edit this part out.
No, I'll keep mine in. I'll take yours out if you want, but I'm keeping mine, damn it.
Okay.
I'm manning up, damn it. I'll admit to what I said. Going to the theme of this thing with Roseanne, I'll admit my things.
We're getting way too much. I mean, even though I was talking about Dexter for fucking ever, like this is the part where I'm like, all right, now we're getting a little overboard.
Yeah, right. But yeah, no, it's. Go ahead.
I think a little bit of blame also has to fall a little bit on Trump.
Well, his reaction to it is. I know that's not what you're talking about, but his reaction to it was typical Trump. It was, why is NBC apologize for Roseanne says, but never better about the horrible things that are said about me? Really? Go fuck yourself. I mean, that's my opinion of him anyway, but that... Anyway.
Yeah, he's a fucking chode, but I'm saying, like...
Look, let's just point blank say this, okay? Trump is a fucking racist, and he's not even, like, a very good, like, racist in terms of keeping it in the dark. He's very open and very, like, he's not even good at defending himself and being a racist. He's always saying, I'm the least racist person you know, which is not saying I'm not racist. He's just saying I'm the least racist person that you know, meaning you can know someone who could be more racist than me. So the fact that he and Roseanne are fucking friends doesn't help her situation very well. The fact that she supported him, the fact that she has been retweeting his shit and also all the other conspiracy bullshit theories that, like, you know, oh, Hillary was, like, involved in, like, Muslim whatever the fuck, like, you know, or another thing about Obama or some stupid shit or the current stupid shit she's tweeting doesn't help. And, like, when her new season premiered, Trump was ecstatic because he kept saying, it's all about us. It's about us. It's about us working class conservative fucking people, racists.
Right.
You know? And,
yeah.
And I think that was another reason why ABC was like, oh shit. Like, yeah, we got some high fucking ratings, but we didn't necessarily want Trump's approval. Well, like, he didn't even get the joke. He didn't get the fact that it was like it shows middle America not looking promising.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Well, let me say this about him, because I'm not going to defend him in any way, and I'm not going to say he's not a racist, but I don't think he's intelligent enough to know that he's a racist. Do you know what I mean? Like, I don't. I think he doesn't realize that what he says or the things that he says are bad. I don't. I think he just thinks they're normal. But, you know, to your comment that he says, you know, I'm the least racist person you know, I know some other people that are close to me who I'm not going to name who are racist. They will tell you they're not. They will outright tell you they're not. And that they have black friends and they like black people and whatever, but still use words like the N-word and say things like curly-headed people and things like that. And, you know, and the irony is one of them's best friend's daughter, up until like 6 months ago, was married to a black guy. And the reason why they got divorced had nothing to do with the racism. They had their own issues. But, like, really? And then the defense would be, well, I'm not talking about him.
Well, I think... Well, look, I don't, for that example, someone who says the N-word and makes black jokes or comments or something, and they happen to be married to someone who's black or something, I think they're just thinking that they get a pass.
Well, this person wasn't...
I have relatives that are also...
They're not married to them. It was a best friend's daughter. I mean, like, this guy was not.
Oh.
His best friend's daughter was married to a black guy.
Thing is, like, but the whole thing is, that goes with my point, is you said, like, you don't think Trump is smart enough to realize what racism is, or that if he is a racist, and that, like, it's just what people say because he's older. I mean, he's 70. I mean, like, you know, I know older people. I mean, I know older people in my family that they were, I mean, like, for example, you know, not specifically saying my dad or anything like that. And I'm not trying to talk shit about my father,
right?
On our podcast, but like, my dad's 80. You know, my dad's 80. He's an old, you know, my dad represents a little bit of both worlds, because my dad was very ahead of his time based on like the old world conservative, like, and my dad's also the son of an immigrant, so you know, my dad's Italian, but like, race was sort of like an open thing when he was a kid. Like, he had a friend who was Lithuanian. One of his closest friends was Lithuanian, and like, you know, just to kind of jab him, he'd call him a Polak. Like, it was just open racism, you know, and even still, like, my dad, all my dad's closest friends are Jewish. Now, my dad's never said an anti-Semitic word because my dad loves, he has a lot of love for Jewish people and stuff like that. But, like, he's made a Jewish joke because it's just a different time. And I think someone, and I've made plenty of fucking, like, jokes about Italians and Jews. I mean, if we're really breaking it down, we're all, if you come from a family where it's like, hey, you're Italian, what are you, like, Jews and Italians are pretty similar, blah, blah, blah. If you can make a joke about it, does it make it racist, or does it just make it a joke? Well, and I think for someone like Roseanne, again, I'm not defending anything she said, but I think with a combination of a mental imbalance, old school kind of, because she was always very politically incorrect, and now we're in a day and age where you have to be more politically correct. I don't think she's caught up with the time, and I think also I think Ambien did have something to do with it, and I think alcohol did have something to do with it. I think there's a whole lot of everything affected what happened. Right. So I'm not condoning what she said, or I'm not condoning anything Trump says. I'm not condoning anything any person who says something mildly or even hugely racist says. But we are living in a time where, people are questioning, is this racist? Is this sexist? And the point is it's always been like this, but now people are like saying, no, you can't fucking say that. But I do believe she has some old school racism in her heart, whether she's aware of it or not. Because her argument would be like, well, I'm Jewish. Why would, I'm allowed to, because I thought this woman was Jewish, and because I'm Jewish, I get a pass, right? Well, no, because your joke doesn't make sense, because if you thought she was Jewish and you're making an apes comment, which is what is usually attributed to black people, then you're really trying to backpedal here, so your argument's invalid. But I do believe she's fucking nuts. I think she's fucking nuts, and honestly, she should stop taking Ambien.
Well, and that's the thing. I don't know how far you got into the Rogan episode, but one point, because they've got somebody I wish we had a researcher while we talked. It was great the 1 week Steph was there with you and she was able to look shit up for us. But, like the guy pulled up, after 10 days of using Ambien, you are legally hooked to Ambien, and you need a, I forget what they call it. I want to call it a detox plan, but that's not it. But it's a plan to come off of the Ambien. You can't just stop. And it's 10 days. And if I saw in the same article they pulled up, it was like something 446,000 cases of Ambien misuse or overdose in 2015. That's a lot.
Right. So if that's a lot, man, if it's something that severe where you are hooked for 10 days and then you need like a detox, like methadone type program to come off of a sleeping pill, then it's clearly something is attributed to the drug. It's not just like, oh, I cooked while I was asleep and ate my dinner and then went back to sleep. It's like people drive on Ambien. People
absolutely.
It is not a fucking drug to fuck around with, which is why, like, it was pretty fucking witty. Like, whoever made that statement being like, a side effect does not include racism. Well, you know what? Side effects include a lot of other crazy shit. Yeah. So, maybe, look, they say what they said, but maybe a side effect is racism. If you are a racist.
Well, okay, yes, but there's the key to that. You have to be a racist at the core prior to taking the Ambien, and that's that. And I think his point, because the person who said it was the president of the company that makes Ambien, and it escapes me right now, but you have to be a racist at the core. Maybe it's some shit you wouldn't say without the Ambien, but it's still what you think and what you believe. It doesn't just turn you into a racist.
Well, that also goes with what Kevin was saying. Like,
what's that?
There was that part where Kevin was talking about how, like, he was asleep and his dad was getting up to go to work, and he said, "Where is everybody?" Yeah. And then Kevin woke up and said, "Oh, he's getting his Thriller." And
right, like, and meant his wallet.
And he meant a wallet, but like his brain was just hadn't clicked. Where, and I've done that too. Like, I've been like, I fell asleep and I was like, and like Steph would talk to me or someone else would talk to me, and I would just talk, and then they'd be like, "What?" And I'm like, and I'd step awake. I'm like, "What?" And they're like, "You just said, like, take it to the laundromat." And I'm like, I did? And they're like, "Yeah, we weren't even talking about anything. You just said, well, sometimes you have to take it to the laundromat." And I'm like, I don't know why the fuck I would say that. And they're like, "Did you fall asleep?" And I'm like, "I guess I did. I'm sorry. I was talking to you and I was sort of dozing, and then I registered that you were talking to me, and I don't know, I wasn't dreaming about laundry or anything like that, but so add that with, like, you know, we all do stupid shit when we're asleep or when we're half asleep. But when you're on a fucking medication and you've been drinking and you probably have some racism deep inside you, as well as the fact that you got a chemical imbalance, I think it was just a toxic combination which has also happened to be on her Twitter page. Like, right. That's the unfortunate thing, is the fact that, like, should there be a regulation for Twitter where someone kind of before you post it, it goes through a screening process where, like, that's too racist to post, we're not going to let you post that.
Yeah, you know what? I honestly, Rico, I can't agree with that, because I like the fact that you have a platform. You should be able to police yourself, and if you can't, then you have to be ready to accept the repercussions of what you said. That's what it boils down to. If you want freedom of speech, that's what it boils down to. I heard a guy on Bill Maher's show this past Friday say something that they were talking about Roseanne, but other things too. And the one thing he said was, like, you want freedom of speech, that's fine. Everyone should have freedom of speech, but then you have to be prepared to accept the repercussions of that freedom.
Yeah, Carlin said something similar. He's like, you know, freedom of speech is fine, but, like, you know, it's like I have the right to call you an asshole, and then you're like, well, that person says I have the right to kill you for what you said, and, like, that's there are repercussions. There to everything. I mean, just because someone says I have a right to free speech doesn't necessarily mean what you say is allowed or okay. And I know people who said, I have a right to free speech. Why are you attacking me? Because what you said was racist or hurtful or sexist or just plain wrong. We're not challenging your right to free speech. We're challenging and giving you shit because you're an asshole.
Right, exactly.
And, you know, because otherwise, if there's no repercussion, then, I mean, well, fuck, dude, Trump's president. I think all bets are fucking off at this point.
Yeah, probably. So let's get to this. So, do you think ABC did the right thing?
I think ABC did the right thing, but I think they may have done it too quickly without. Because I don't know what ABC did in terms of an investigation. I know that it was fucking quick as shit. But I mean, I think they did the right thing. But I also think they did the wrong thing, which is sign up with Roseanne from the very beginning. Like, they must have known there would have been some form of controversy, you know, signing up someone who's been very politically idiotic, let's put it that way. Someone who's been very outspoken with racism or conspiracy shit, or just not just saying, oh, I don't like Obama because of this policy he did. Like, just saying, I don't like Obama because of something that I can't prove, and also he's black.
Right.
You know, you can not like Obama, but don't like Obama just because he's black or because you believe that he is a Muslim from Kenya. Like, you know, like, she honestly, she's just fueling the Trump-tard fucking allegations. I mean, I don't know if she was part of the birther movement when that Trump started. But she was not against it either.
Yeah, I think she did jump on the train, but not nearly as severely as Orange 45.
Right. So I think ABC did the right thing. And I think they can still rectify this. Just make a show about the Connors, have Roseanne be dead. I mean, they fucking did it with 2.5 Men.
Well, that was CBS, but yeah. What
I'm saying, like, whether 2.5 Men was, I would argue, was not as successful when Ashton Kutcher signed on, but it was still pretty successful. It went on for a couple more years.
Yeah, especially with the kid trashing the show too.
Yeah, I mean that was.
I mean, I don't want to get into that whole thing, but yeah. Look, I think they made the right call too. I think it sucks. I think the show was good. I actually thought they were handling race pretty well in it. It was a whole episode about inclusion where at the beginning of the episode, Roseanne, the character, was saying some racist stuff, but by the end of the episode, changed her perspective, like flipped it completely. And it was another one with, no, it was the same episode, yeah. So it was about Muslims that had moved into Lanford, and they had bought a shit ton of fertilizer, and it was sitting on the front yard because apparently he was starting a landscaping company. Which you find out later.
And they thought it was
right. Yeah. You find out, but and by the end of the episode, he gets the final word, and it's a bit of a shot at Roseanne, and then the screen goes black, and the episode's over. But it's a comedic shot, so it's not like it's comedic, it's funny, and if you have an open mind, it makes you go, yeah, good for that guy. You know what I mean? So
I would probably label, because there have been times where Roseanne has been very progressive.
Yep. And then times where not so much.
Yeah, I would probably call her a liberal racist, if I'm being honest.
She wouldn't call you that, or call herself that, but she would disagree with you, I think.
She could be very liberal with, like, the gay community, and the show, I mean, it's not like she is just the star of the show. She's got to have some input. So she's got to, like, read every script and be like, yes, we have got to have these, conservative Trump supporters also be thinkers.
Yeah.
I saw a snippet of one where, like, it was her grandson or something, and he wanted to dress up in in girls' clothes and shit like that.
No, he does. She's got I don't want to call it a transgender grandson, but definitely struggling with his identity.
Right.
And then he's also.
And I saw the clip. Yeah.
Yeah, and she's also got an African American granddaughter in the show.
Yeah. So they didn't just plant that shit. I mean, They did. They planted that shit to talk about it. But if Roseanne was as racist as everyone's claiming she is, she would have said. She would have tweaked the episode in her conservative favor. She would not have been like, well, okay, if this is what's important to you, then we support you.
Right,
she would have said, like, no, get your ass upstairs and change into a boy's clothes. You're a boy. Be a boy.
But here's the thing. Well, at one point they kind of do that, and it's actually more from Dan's side than Roseanne's. But the point is that I think, and I kind of want to tie this off because we've been at this topic for a while, and I want to make the show a little more entertaining. I think it's something we needed to talk about. It's important to talk about, but I want to give some entertainment to some people too. Right. But like one of the, I think she is as racist as it made her sound. But what I think happened is that the Ambien and the alcohol.
And the fact that she's 60 and working all the time on a TV show.
But I think that she is as racist as the comment made her sound, but I think she's also generally smart enough not to do that publicly. And the Ambien and the alcohol, blocked or knocked down that wall, whatever you want. I can't think of the phrase I want to say, but it allowed that to come out that would not normally have come out if she had been stone cold sober. And
sure.
And does that make a right? Not at all. But
no.
I think, and just going back to talking about Orange 45 for a minute, and the difference is I think she's smart enough generally to know when not to say stuff where he's not. And that's the big difference. Look, it was done. It's over. It sucks for the people that were working on the show. I really do feel for them. And I'm not talking about like Sarah Gilbert and John Goodman. I mean, I feel for them too, but I'm talking about like your key grips and your camera people and your lighting people and your makeup people and all them. Now, they're all good enough to get on that show. I'm sure they'll find other work, and I hope they do, and they have my support. But because I don't think ABC is going to do anything. Like they could do something like the Connors or Dan, like we talked about earlier, or whatever. I don't think they're going to. I think it's just dead. I think it's dead on arrival. I think it's over. Dead. Yeah.
You might be right.
If they do something like that, I'll be the first one to watch it. I'm not going to lie to you. I will sit down and I was looking forward to Roseanne when it came back. I really was. And I enjoyed it, and I watched it, and I'll admit that I watched it. I wouldn't watch it going forward. And honestly, Deb's been watching the reruns, even though she knows what's happened. And I'm not giving her shit for that. That's not what I'm saying. But I'm now uncomfortable even watching the reruns. But that's just me.
And that was the other interesting thing, that all those like streaming sites like dropped Roseanne.
Yep. Well, it's not off the networks yet, but I mean, look what happened to Cosby. As soon as the allegations came out, you couldn't find the Cosby Show anywhere. And then once he got, there was like one channel that still had it. And once he got convicted, they dropped it. And they're an African-American channel. And I'm not saying that in a racist way. They come out and said, we are an African-American channel. Like they run things like The Jeffersons and Cosby Show and 227 and Different World and all those, I think they run In Living Color. Like they specifically run those types of shows on purpose. And I personally have a problem with it. But they dropped Cosby after he got convicted. So.
Oh, yeah. They did not hold the fuck back on that one.
Yeah. So, all right. So let's move on to happier topics, shall we, Rico?
Absolutely, man. I'm done with Roseanne Barr right now.
Yeah. Like I said, it's an important topic going on. I think it's something we needed to talk about if we were taking ourselves seriously as a show. But, at the same time, we're an entertainment show. So let's move on.
Are you not entertained, audience? Are you not entertained?
Nicely done, sir. So I saw a couple different movies from the last couple of years over the last 4 or 5 days. So I'm going to list them all off, and I'll let you pick which ones you want to hear / talk about. Okay?
Go for it.
Because you're our movie guy. Like, I can hold my own, but let's face it, you are our movie guy.
Yes, I am.
Which, by the way, go ahead.
My brother compared me to the comic book guy on The Simpsons.
Oh,
okay. He's like, Rico, honestly, like, just grow a ponytail out, and I would, and like, just walk around he's like, can you do an impression of the comic book guy? I'm like, worst impression ever. And he's just like, honestly, dude, if you fucking do that, I will be forever in your debt. He's like, but you're not the comic book guy. You're the movie guy.
Yeah.
You're the movie guy, but I was like, that's really fucked up. I am not that fucking fat. He's like, oh. I'm like, wow, fuck
That's
you.
fucked up, yeah. Worst movie ever.
Worst movie ever. All right, go ahead. What's the movies?
Okay, so I'm going to go through them all. They're not in any particular order, just the order I remember watching them. Okay?
Do you want me to comment them as you say them, or do you want me to comment them at the end?
At the end. Let me list them all off first, and then we'll go from there.
All right,
so I saw Yes Man. I saw Atomic Blonde. I saw what else did I see? I saw the Power Rangers reboot. And I watched half of Fantastical Beasts, and it's only because I had to stop because I was doing stuff. So I'm actually going to pick up the other half after we get done doing this.
All right. Well, if I'm going to do my job, I'm going to do my job correctly. So let's talk about each one of them, but let me speed through them, what my opinion was.
Well,
Yes Man.
Before you do, can I just make... I listed them all up, but I'm going to suggest we skip the Fantastical Beasts for 2 reasons. 1, I'm only halfway through it. And 2, we have talked about doing a Harry Potter...
A Hottie Potter?
Hottie Potter.
A Hottie Potter?
Harry Potter universe episode, so maybe we save that for that one anyway. What do you think?
Sure.
Okay,
sure.
Go ahead. Oh, real quick.
All right, yes, man.
Sorry. I think Deb's going to sit in as a guest host on the Harry Potter episode whenever you do it. I already talked to her about it.
Terrific.
Yeah.
She and I can geek out on Harry Potter, and you'll be just like, I saw a movie.
No, I've kind of got into them. I really like them, so I think I can hold my own. You guys will be much better than me, but I can hold my own. Anyway, go ahead.
Well, good. So, yes, man. Probably one of... I mean, it's not... It's funny. Is it as funny as Jim Carrey's other fucking funny movies? No. I would say Bruce Almighty is probably his last, like, really decent comedy.
Yeah, I would agree.
Yes, man. You know, it's cute. It's got some funny moments. I like it a whole lot more than fucking Dumb and Dumber 2. Like, that was such a letdown for Dumb and Dumber 2. Like, if you were as much of a fan of the first one as I was, and even endured that piece of shit prequel, and then like, oh man, they're coming back, and then you're like, oh wow, that was really
So you're gonna hate me because I didn't like any of them. I didn't even see the second one because I hated the first one, and I actually kind of enjoyed the prequel slightly more than the original. But that's not to say I liked it, because I didn't. But if I was going to tell you which ones I...
There's one part of the prequel that I still, like, my friends and I will still, like, reference, like, where, like, Bob Saget finds, like, chocolate all in the bathroom, and he thinks it's shit, and he's like, there's shit everywhere! And it's just, that was just a funny fucking part.
Well, that's because Bob Saget makes everything better. It's fucking Saget.
Oh, Bob Saget!
That Jamie Kennedy rap song about rolling with Saget is still one of the funniest fucking things I've ever heard.
I don't know it. I'm not... I was a fan of Jamie Kennedy from Scream, but that's it.
He did a rap song called Rollin' with Saget. I'm asking you to just go look it up. Even if you're not a huge fan of his, it's fucking funny. Because Saget's
I'll look it up. I'll look it up after the episode.
Yeah, that's fine, but just check it out and then tell me what you think next time we talk, because it's actually really fucking funny.
No, Bob Saget's funny, especially when he plays off of his, like, squeaky clean Full House image. Like,
yep.
He was on the show Entourage, and he's just, like, as far away from fucking...
Oh,
like,
yeah. Yeah. He got I have his stand-up special that he did, like... Oh, God, it's a while ago now. It's maybe 10 years ago now, but oh my God, it's raunchy as shit. He spends half the time talking about an audience member fucking a rat. Like, it's just odd.
I've seen that one. I have the movie he did, Farce of the Penguins. Have you seen that?
No, I haven't, but I heard it's good.
It's a spoof of March of the Penguins, almost to the point where they have Samuel L. Jackson narrating it instead of Morgan Freeman.
Yeah.
But it's different because he has all these cast members and comedians voicing penguins. So it's like he took the footage from March of the Penguins and just had comedians dub them.
Right. Wait, did you say you have that stand-up special? Do you have it?
No, I've seen it.
Okay, because the song I was telling about, the music video for it is a special feature on that stand-up.
Oh, okay. Well, I can probably find it online on YouTube.
Oh, I'm sure you could. I was just gonna say if you actually have it, then you have the song already. So
no. So back to Yes Man. Now look, see, I reached an interesting point in my life where I was a massive Jim Carrey fan when I was a kid, and then as an adult, I don't know if my humor changed or if I just got older, but like I look at Jim Carrey movies and I'm like, some of them, like especially the ones I loved, are just not fucking as good as they were for me. For example, I remember loving Ace Ventura 1 and 2.
Yeah, see, I've never been a fan.
See, but but then I remember watching them recently because they were uploaded on Netflix.
Netflix, yeah.
And I was like, wow, he is really annoying.
Yep.
But I also rewatched The Mask. Like I kind of was like went through this whole segue of like my own little like expedition. Like, was Jim Carrey ever funny? And like The Mask is still legit funny.
Yeah, no.
For me.
I can count on one hand the comedies he's been in that I've liked. So we're taking out Apartment 23, I think it's called, and Eternal Sunshine.
Number 23.
Or number 23, sorry. And then Eternal Sunshine. Like, so we take those out, because those aren't comedies, obviously.
Well, would you count Truman Show as a comedy or as a drama?
That probably falls... It's a dramedy. Yeah, I was just going to say that probably falls into that dramedy category. So... For the purpose of our conversation, yes, I'll call it a comedy, but you're right. It's like a dramedy more than a straight-out comedy. So, and I actually forgot he was in that, so thank you. But I like that, The Mask, Liar Liar, Bruce Almighty, and Yes Man. And that's it.
Yeah, I would agree with that. I mean, and here's the thing. It's like the whole thing started when I did an episode of... I was doing a bunch of Batman movies for my Rico's Rants. And I got to Batman Forever. And he was like one of the contributing factors where I'm like, wow, this is just not good. Because he was not the Riddler. He was Jim Carrey. He was just, and it was really upsetting because I'm like, you know, he didn't ruin the movie. I mean, I was more pissed off about Tommy Lee Jones. Because Tommy Lee Jones did nothing to the role of Two-Face for me. Like, he didn't even try. It was just...
You're going to hate me for this.
It was just a carbon copy of Nicholson.
But we can agree that Batman's broken into segments, right? So one segment would be the Keaton Schumacher, and then the Nolan, and then the Batfleck thing, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So not the Nolan, but the Keaton Schumacher or the Burton Schumacher series, there's only 2 in that 4 that I really like. And it's probably not the 2 that you think. And
what is it? Probably Batman Returns and probably Batman Forever?
No, it's Batman and Batman Forever.
Oh, was Batman Returns just too dark for you?
It's not even it's too dark. I don't mind dark. I just didn't... It didn't flow well for me. I didn't like... You're talking about how you didn't like how Tommy Lee Jones did Two-Face. I don't have a problem with Danny DeVito's depiction of the Penguin, but I don't think it was well written. Do you know what I mean? Like, I think he did an okay job with what was given to him, but I didn't like the way they took the character.
Oh, made him like a fucking like pervert.
It's not even that, but
well, going into it, you also have to remember it's Tim Burton. Like, if Tim Burton was going to do the Penguin, it would be how he did it.
No,
if it was going to be Schumacher doing the Penguin, it would be more traditional, like a Burgess Meredith, like.
But see, that's not the like. All right, I don't want to get into a whole Batman conversation, but have you played the Batman games, the Arkham games?
Yeah.
Okay, so Penguin as like an arms dealer / smuggler, which is what he is in those games, is the way I like the Penguin. Yeah. Like, that's the best depiction of the Penguin I've ever seen. You know what I mean? So I would have liked.
I agree.
I would have liked more of that kind of Penguin. Like, all right, they went out of their way to make him look like a penguin. Do you know what I'm saying? That's what was my issue with the Batman Returns one. They went out like with the webbed fingers and the egg-shaped body, like that. I don't know. Michelle Pfeiffer was the best part of that movie, flat out. And it's not because she looks good in leather, which she does, but that's not what it's about. She played a really good Catwoman. Like, that was, you know.
And there was a big transformation for her on a mental issue. She went from, you know, like slightly unhinged to completely different.
Yeah.
You know, even her voice changed.
Yeah.
Where she was just like, you know, she developed this husky, like, I don't know about you, Miss Kitty, but I feel so much yummier.
Yeah, I know. Like, but they did a really good job. And I don't want to do a whole Batman thing, but I mean, I loved, and I'm one of the few, I think, but I loved Anne Hathaway's depiction of Catwoman and The Dark Knight Rises. That movie pisses me off, but she was good. I really liked her in that movie. She
was good. Look, let's go back to...
Yeah, I'm just... Sorry. But go to finish my point, or where I was started going, like, I like Batman Forever. I didn't mind that version of the Riddler, and I thought Jim Carrey, for me, was one of the high parts of that movie.
I mean, I have to rewatch my rant because I was very vocal about it. I didn't say it was terrible. I just said it was not as good. But also, I have a soft spot for Batman Returns because I think that, I don't know if I mentioned it on here, but I was like, I saw like Batman Returns, I think, before Batman.
Of course, because you watch everything out of fucking order.
Well, it wasn't like I did it out of choice. It was because I wasn't like how old you were when you saw it in theaters.
No, I didn't see it in theater. Like, I saw it on VHS, but I was like 9. You weren't even born yet, so.
No, it came out in '89, so I was negative fucking 2. So
you were cum when they made that movie.
That's true.
You've never heard Kevin say that?
Oh yeah, he said that to a little. He said that to
12-year-old girl. Yeah, but I fell on the floor laughing when I heard him say it. Go ahead. Anyway.
So, but I mean, look, when I was a kid, Jim Carrey was fine, and then just looking back at it, I'm like, wow, maybe I was wrong this whole time.
So,
but like for Yes Man, I think it got some funny parts, and I think the main thing is because it's got a good supporting cast. Like, I remember watching it and being like, this Bradley Cooper guy is really good.
Right.
Like, really good as a straight man.
No, he was. And except for the fact that the one guy from the 70s show is now wrapped up in a sex scandal, you know, I can't remember his name, but...
Yeah. Danny Masterson?
Yeah, that's it. I know, I liked it. Let me tell you why I liked it. Well, go ahead.
Do you watch The Ranch?
No, but I know he was on it, but they took him off.
You know, you would actually, I think The Ranch would just be the filler for Roseanne, because it talks about the same shit.
Yeah, but see, I don't like Ashton Kutcher.
Yeah, but you don't really have to like Ashton Kutcher. I don't like Ashton Kutcher either, but you don't watch it for him. It's not an amazing show. Yeah, I watch it for Sam Elliott, personally.
Yeah, true.
But he's really good at it. But.
Yes Man was suggested to me because my life prior to meeting Debbie was basically that guy.
Oh, you were a no man?
Not even that, but like he stays home all the time. He just doesn't go out anywhere. Getting him out is like pulling teeth. Now, mine's not because of divorce. Mine's a whole plethora of other issues. But you know, and then I'll throw some info out there. We both work in the banking industry. Now, I'm not in loans like he was, but, you know.
But you can relate to it.
Yeah, totally. So it was suggested to me, and I didn't watch it when it came out. I literally, like I said, I just watched it last week for the first time. Uh-huh. So, but, you know, I watched it and I got it. I mean, it has, my problem with that movie is it's really, really, really good, and then it hits a typical trope that pisses me off in a lot of comedies that are out there, and even some dramas. Guy and girl meet, guy does something stupid, girl gets pissed off, guy does everything he can to win her back, and does.
Yeah.
And that trope just, it was cute the first dozen times I saw it, but now it's like... You know what I mean? Like, it's in every one of these. And it's so cliche to the point that, like, why is a guy always doing this stupid thing? Like, guys are dumb. I get it. We do stupid shit.
Women do stupid shit, too, for sure.
Thank you. Yes, thank you. And it's never that. And I'm not saying women should be depicted badly, but I'm saying, like... Or why does it have to be something? Or why does it have to be something stupid happening anyway? Why couldn't it just be that they kept going on? Like, why did there have to be that? You know, like that's I don't know.
Because you have to have for every movie there has to be an issue that they have to rectify. Otherwise, like there's a classic thing of like.
But why isn't for that movie as an example, why isn't the issue they're solving him getting over his self-confidence issues? Why did it have to involve the girl getting pissed off because she thinks he's lying to her?
Because it's lazy writing.
Well, yeah, and that's it. I mean, but it's not just that movie. It happens all the fucking time, and it drives me nuts.
You know, one of the things that I was like really kind of not okay with was the fact that Zooey Deschanel looks significantly younger than Jim Carrey. And
she does.
It was a little creepy. Where he's just like sort of lusting after this young woman.
Yeah, I could see that, but that's. Yeah, I mean, they could have done better casting, but they never actually talk about their ages. In this story, they could have been close in age. But you're right, from a visual perspective, it didn't sit well.
I mean, if they had recast with, like, Elizabeth Banks, I think it would have been a better, not so much chemistry, but, like, better age depiction.
Well, and you know what? That's a great transition because she plays Rita Repulsa.
Exactly.
And
that's Power why Rangers. I brought it up.
All right, good. Because I do want to get to some of these other movies, but let's go there. Do you want to talk about you first?
Elizabeth Banks as Elizabeth Banks as Rita Repulsa in the fucking Power Rangers. She was easily my favorite part. Now, I didn't see the Power Rangers movie, the new one, in theaters. I saw it when it was at work, like 2 years later.
I just watched it on Amazon this morning.
Okay, so you were a little later than me, but I was not much behind you, or ahead of you. It was okay. I didn't, because I grew up with the Power Rangers, but like I especially loved the movie, the first movie with like Ivan Ooze and shit. That was my, like, I grew out of it, but I had like the Power Ranger action figures that like they had the heads that like spun around or something. Do you know what I'm talking about?
Yeah. I know what you're talking about.
So I had those, and I think my very first crush was fucking Amy Jo Johnson, the Pink Ranger.
How was she not? She was smoking hot. Absolutely.
I love how she and Hilary Swank are still confused for each other. There was a great episode of Dinner for Five.
Oh, really? I love that show.
It was with Kevin, Ben Affleck, Jennifer Garner.
No, Jen wasn't on that. There's no way.
Yeah.
No,
Kevin hosted it a couple times when Favreau was unavailable.
Right, but I don't think Jennifer Garner was ever on it because I watched all of them.
No, it was a Daredevil episode.
All right, go ahead.
So it was Colin Farrell, it was Jon Favreau, it was Ben Affleck, it was Kevin Smith, and it was Jennifer. Did I say them all? It's all five?
I think so.
Garner, Smith, Favreau, because Favreau was in it as well as it's his show, and Farrell. And they're talking about how like they get mistaken for people. Like Colin Farrell, I think was like he said he gets mistaken for Colin Firth, just based on the name.
Right.
And Hillary, Jennifer Garner said, "Oh, the biggest one for me is Amy Jo Johnson." And Ben Affleck has this great, like, who the fuck is Amy Jo Johnson? But like, it's true. Like, but like, I despise. Well, I don't despise. I despise Jennifer Garner. But I always was attracted to Amy Jo Johnson. She was my first crush because she was the Pink Ranger. Like, she was like my first crush as much as like Cameron Diaz in The Mask was my first crush. And now, like, years later, I'm like, I'm not really attracted to Cameron Diaz at all. But like Cameron Diaz in The Mask, like, I think I was like 4 and I somehow had an erection.
I'm trying to confirm the Kevin Smith ones. I'm sorry, I'm listening to you, but I'm trying to confirm this because I'm having trouble finding the.
It's on YouTube, but I think the video itself is kind of corrupted or something, so like it pauses or something at one point, or the video feed is fucked up. But yeah,
no,
it's definitely an episode.
I found it.
Yeah,
and you're right.
You watch that, you'll enjoy it.
I'm pretty sure I have.
There's another great episode with him and J.J. Abrams and Stan Lee and
Jason Lee
and Mark Hamill
and Mark Lee. Hamill. Yeah. See, Affleck, Jennifer Garner, Colin Farrell, Kevin Smith,
Favreau, and Simon.
You know what it is? I don't think I've watched this one, and I'll tell you why. I don't think. Hold on a second. I'm looking to see. Yeah, I don't think I've seen this one. Because Kevin's always talking about how he thinks Jennifer Garner doesn't like him.
And you see that building up in this. Where, really? He makes fun of Ben Affleck.
And she gets all defensive.
She gets super defensive. And she's like, and she even says, like, I'm going to have to kick your ass if you keep talking about Ben this way. And he's like, what are you talking about? Like, and Ben's just, like, in the middle being like, you could tell they just started fucking, but, like, they hadn't publicly announced it.
Yeah.
So, there is a lot of heat between the two of them.
So, I want to talk about the movie itself for a minute, because I was watching this, and first off, I got to say something. For a movie called Power Rangers, to not have the Power Rangers themselves appear to the last half hour is ballsy. That is really, really ballsy. And I mean that in a positive way. Like, that's a gutsy move. And I have to tell you, I think it worked. It really worked. But before you get into it, because to me, it was a combination of a couple movies. And I had it, and I've been trying to remember it all day, and now I cannot remember. But Chronicle's one of them.
Yes, you beat me to it. I was going to say that.
Yeah, it's like Chronicle
meets Iron Man.
No, that's not what I was going to say, but that's not a bad example. I really, damn it, I should have wrote it down because I was really proud of the comparisons that I came up with, and that wasn't one of them. But it's like Chronicle, a little bit of that Fantastic Four reboot that they did.
Yeah, definitely.
And I can't remember the last one I was saying, but the point is it's a good movie. Like it's better than I was expecting it to be.
Yeah, I would agree with that.
And I actually found myself enjoying it. And I looked it up. They are going to make a second one because someone just bought the rights to the movie. And they say they want to make a second one with all the same people. So I'm hoping they're going to stay to it. By the way, to your point about Amy Jo Johnson, did you like the cameo?
I like the cameo with her and whoever the fuck the Green Ranger guy is.
Yeah, I've met him once. He was at a Comic-Con I went to. I didn't get to talk to him, but I could see him. And he carried himself like a huge diva, which I was like, dude, you're the Green fucking Ranger. Like, no.
Yeah, like, move on. Let it go, buddy.
I also walked right past Rooker. Like, I could have reached out and grabbed him. And I literally bumped into Lou Ferrigno. But I don't think he felt it, because I'm, like, tiny and he's Lou Ferrigno.
I don't think he heard you coming either.
Yeah, probably not. I made that joke when it happened.
You could have snuck up on him easily, just like Hulk! Can I help you?
Yeah. But no, the movie was good. Like, it really played out. Look, first off, like you said, we both grew up with Power Rangers, because I did too. Like, I was obviously older than you, but I still grew up with the Power Rangers. And, like, I lost them once they got past, like, the ninja level. They were the Ninja Rangers or whatever.
Yeah, I think I stopped when they got all turbo and whatever.
Well, see, for me, at that point, I was getting to be, like, 16, 17, so it was just, like, you know what I mean, like, age-wise, I just kind of aged out of Power Rangers. Because at first, let me tell you, I hated the Power Rangers when they first came out. I hated them. And you know why? Because I am a Voltron loyalist. And to me, it was a ripoff of Voltron. So I was mad.
Well, I was a kid, so I didn't know anything of Voltron, or I didn't know anything of, like, the original Japanese version. I didn't know anything about any of it. All I saw was, like, Amy Jo Johnson.
Yeah, well, that's fair.
Amy Jo Johnson and giant robots fighting. That's all I saw.
That's fair. Which, by the way, and we'll save it for another episode, but I watched that Ninja Batman anime.
Yeah.
Have you seen it?
No.
Weird. Very.
That's probably why I'm not going to see it.
No, let me just say this much, and if you want to deep dive it another time, we can. But do you like classic Japanimation, like classic old school? then you'll hate it. Don't watch it.
That's why I'm not going to see it.
Yeah, don't watch it
like,
then.
Like, I can probably respect the idea that they went a different route for, like, it's Batman, but Japanese animation. It's really going to be interesting and bizarre and weird. I can appreciate that, but I'm still, like, pissed off they fucked up the Killing Joke. So, like...
I like the Killing Joke.
Oh, God, no. I mean, the first half of it is ridiculous. The second half of it is fine.
Okay,
I mean, if it wasn't Mark Hamill and Kevin Conroy, it would just be a dumpster fire.
All right, well, let's not do that tonight. But yeah, it was a good movie, and the Power Rangers, and I liked it, and I'm actually looking forward to a sequel. I'm not going to go to the theater. There's no way in hell, unless I get a free ticket, that I'm going to the theater to see that movie. But I'll certainly watch it when it comes on Amazon or Netflix or HBO or whatever.
I have the same opinion of you. I thought it was surprisingly better than I thought it was going to be. One of my favorite parts of it was the black kid, the kid who was like autistic.
Yes. I thought that was a really good touch to it.
That was really surprisingly like fresh, and I didn't know I wanted that because I was like, when you see people on, I mean, I'm not on the spectrum. I know some people that are on the spectrum or do have autism. Mostly it's like when you see them depicted in film, it's like Rain Man.
Yeah. No, it was a fresh take.
Yeah, it was fresh and it was new and he was funny. That was the funny thing. It's like he's being funny not for the fact that he is, it's not like he's making super many jokes about being autistic. It's just like it's funny in the sense of like Drax on Guardians of the Galaxy is funny without being funny.
Which is, like I said before, my issue with Guardians 2, which I just recently rewatched, and I realized I was a little too harsh on that movie in our MCU episode. But I'll remind you.
I agree with you that it was surprisingly better than expected. I would see a sequel, but I won't see it in theaters.
Neither would I.
And honestly, fucking Elizabeth Banks fucking killed it. Like, I never thought anyone could, because she did a completely different take than whoever played it on the show with like the loud screaming and blah, blah, blah,
well, it was the same woman who did. They casted everybody from the TV show. The only thing that was on the movie that was on the TV show was Ooze, because he was brand new for that movie. But everything else was from the TV show.
Right.
No,
she wasn't in the reboot. The original Reed Repulsa was not in the movie, was she?
The first movie or this one?
The one who played in the movie and in the original movie and in the show.
That was the same. That was the same actress. Yeah.
No. I'm saying that actress from the show and the original Mighty Morphin Power Rangers movie from like '93 was not in this reboot.
Oh no, not at all. I'm talking about no. But I'm talking about like you were saying, you had the issue with that previous incarnation, and that's the same actress from the movie and the TV show.
No. I didn't have an issue with it. It was
way over the top.
Elizabeth Banks it was over the top, but it was also Elizabeth Banks did a completely different version of Rita Repulsa that I just didn't expect.
Right.
And she kind of played her like she reminds me of Cate Blanchett's Hella.
No, I got a better comparison. I think I do. I think she's more like Enchantress from the Suicide Squad.
Yeah, but I hated Enchantress and Suicide Squad.
Well, you didn't have to like it, but I think it's a more closer comparison.
Well, I was talking more the costume, like the green.
Even the costume, I felt was closer to Enchantress.
I may need to rewatch Suicide Squad because I watched it a couple times and I'm like, I'm done.
Suicide Squad was good up until they hit the city. Like when they're gathering everyone together, that's a great movie. And then they go and fight the thing and it goes to shit. But up until the
Suicide Squad was
just up until they get to that fight. But because even the beats, I can't talk tonight. In the scene in the bar was good. You know, up until that point, that's about where it falls apart.
Suicide Squad was great. It would have been even better if they had taken out Enchantress altogether.
Probably. I can't argue with that.
Honestly.
But, yeah, no, I can't argue with that.
Have the Joker be the main fucking villain and just, you know, drop that stupid fucking whole thing.
That's why the Suicide Squad... That's why the animated one's better. The animated Suicide Squad movie that came out a couple years ago, Assault on Arkham.
Yeah, the Assault on Arkham was great. See, that's a good Batman animated movie.
There's several of them. I have them all, and they're all pretty good. But I'm just saying that one that you don't like isn't as bad as you make it out to be.
You want to guess which one my favorite is? The animated movies.
I'm trying to run. I have them, but they're not in visual sight from where I'm at, so I'm trying to run through them in my head. See, the easy answer is The Dark Knight Returns, but I honestly don't think that's the best one in the bunch, honestly.
No. I'll just tell you.
Yeah, please.
Under the Red Hood.
Yeah, that one's good. I liked Batman versus Robin was good. I like that one a lot.
That was good. I like that. I like the. Is that the one with the Court of Owls, or was that the other one? It was like Son of Batman.
One of the. Batman versus Robin is the one with Court of Owls. Son of Batman's the one that sets that up.
Yeah, Batman. The one with the Court of Owls, I thought was really good too. It was really just surprisingly violent for what I was not expecting it to be as violent as it was.
Well, except for the Killing Joke, which is R, and I think the Dark Knight ones are R. The rest are PG-13.
No, the Dark Knight Returns is not R. It should have been.
It should have been.
And that's my point. That's also another reason why I'm like dismissing of Killing Joke is that it's rated R, but like they didn't take advantage of it being rated R. There was no F-bombs. Like there was like one. I mean, I would say that like the Arkham games with Mark Hamill was more adult and pushing the envelope than the Killing Joke.
I could agree with that. Yeah.
You know, they had a perfect advantage to go as R and dark as much as possible, but they didn't. They were chicken.
I even have the Teen Titans one, but you know why I have that one.
No. Kevin
Smith. He does a podcast at the last 5 minutes of the episode of the movie.
Does he really? I didn't know that.
Beast Boy is on. Beast Boy makes an appearance on Smodcast.
What was that? What was the final movie you said?
What do you mean?
You said it was Power Rangers, Yes Man.
So there was Yes Man, Power Rangers. There's two more, but one we're gonna skip off, and then Atomic Blonde.
Oh yeah. See, I watched it. I didn't like it. I thought the action sequences and Charlize Theron were really good, but the overall storyline and plot I just could give less. Like I was trying to stay attentive to it, but I ended up just looking at my phone half the time. It was just boring until it was action sequences.
Okay,
that's my take on it.
I think this is where our age difference really shines through, because to me that movie is a love letter to the 80s, and as someone who lived through the 80s, I remember when that wall came down. I was alive when that wall came down, and I'm not saying that as a shot at you, but I'm just saying I can remember how important that was. The world stopped for 3 days to watch that happen. You know what I mean? I can't tell you I would remember it as well as some of significant things that'll go on, from this point forward, or some things that have happened. Like for example, and I don't know if the significance levels are even as high, but the fact that when we elected our first African-American president, that's a significant moment in history. I'll remember that clearer than I remember the wall coming down, or more importantly, what led up to the wall coming down. But we had, by coincidence, so I went to, do you guys have Friends schools out there? Quaker schools?
Do we have what schools?
Friends schools. So, for example...
I don't know what that is.
Okay, so for example, just using your town, it would be Oakland Friends School. And basically, do you know what a Quaker is? I'm not even being ignorant, I'm just asking.
Yeah, like a fucking Amish kind of.
No,
Quaker?
not quite Amish, because Amish have that thing with no technology or whatever. But it is.
Yeah, but that's what you're alluding to, yeah.
Yeah, they're pacifists by nature and things like that. Yeah. So out here, and maybe it's just because I'm on the East Coast, there's a high concentration of. So you know what a Catholic school is? I'm sure you have Catholic schools out there, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so the Quakers have their own versions of schools too. They call them Friends schools instead of Quaker schools, but it is one and the same. So, and they're generally named after the town they're in. So again, like for you, like Oakland Friends School would be the name of the school probably.
I mean, it's possible, but I don't think we do.
Okay, but they're private schools, and I went to one for 8 years. Now, I'm not a Quaker, but it's like Catholic school. You don't have to practice a religion to go to the school. Okay. So I went there for, was it 8 years? No, 5 years, sorry. And while I was there was when the wall came down. So we actually had some German exchange students in our school at the time the wall came down. Wow. So, yeah, so we actually had, I don't want to call it a front row seat. That's not the word I'm looking for. But, like, we had first-person experiences of people we could talk to that knew what it was. Now, they were all from West Germany because East Germany wasn't doing shit like that back then. But we were able to talk to them and get feedback as we're watching the wall come down. And some of them were in tears. That I remember. Just them sitting there watching with us on TV, crying. And tears of joy. So it took me to a place of remembering a lot of things, and not sadness, but just and the music in it for me, because I know we're very separate on our musical taste, but like a lot of the songs in there I love. I mean, we're far apart musically, and so a lot of those 80s, early 90s songs that they played, because it takes place in like 89. James McAvoy, I've always been a big fan of, so it was awesome seeing him. There's not much that he's in that I won't watch at least once because I'm such a fan of his. Like even Split. Like I'm not a big M. Night fan, and that's not a shot at him, but I watched Split because it's James McAvoy.
Oh yeah, I loved Split when it came out.
I did too. I liked it.
I had heard rumors it was a sequel to Unbreakable, and Unbreakable is my favorite M. Night film. Well, I don't like M. Night that much either.
It is in a sort of way, and he's filming right now like a true, although he's calling it the third one now, but he's filming it.
Well, it's like two separate chapters leading up to a final concluding chapter with both characters.
Right. So I'm excited.
It's called Glass.
Yeah. I won't go to the theater to see it, but I'll certainly watch it when it becomes available to me to watch.
Sure.
But yeah, no, so those are the movies, and I liked them. I liked the Atomic Blonde. I'm actually considering buying it. That's how much I liked it, but I can understand why you wouldn't have liked it. Although, so we were talking music differences. I was watching a movie that we're going to talk about on another episode because it's one of those ones that's part of a series, and I'd rather talk about the series than just the individual movie. But I was watching Ocean's 13, and I did remember there's a Sinatra song I liked. You know what? Like I give you a lot of shit. He has good music. I just like giving you a hard time. Honestly.
No, I know.
But this town.
This town.
Yeah, I fucking love that song.
It's a great song, and I mean, whether it was intended to be like a Vegas song for the movie, you can't help but think this song is all about Las Vegas.
Oh yeah, he could have been singing about New York when he wrote the damn thing, but it fits it perfectly.
Oh yeah, it's so catchy because it's like he did other songs like about like New York or New York, or My Kind of Town about Chicago, or even Chicago. And, like, it's all praising the city. And he's like, this town is a lonely town. And you're like, oh, shit, this is the This is the anti-song about this town. It's like, not the only town.
You know,
this town.
It is, but it's not at the same time. It's really weird. I get your point. I'm not saying you're wrong, but there's this within that. There's a positivity with it. Does that make sense?
Well, I think he's saying like with every town, there's some highs and lows, but it is.
No, but Vegas. Vegas has its highs and lows. If there's any town in the country that has highs and lows more than anybody, it's Vegas.
I mean, it's a make you town and a break you town.
Exactly.
So,
yeah, but no, that song.
As we get ready to end this episode, I want to tell you about this fucking. Like we as per usual, probably gonna always segue back to like Star Wars or Marvel or something. But
okay, before you go there, there's one piece of other movie news that I wanted to talk about before we get into closing.
Well, go ahead. Go ahead.
And you had mentioned this before, but I think it's been confirmed since you talked about it on a previous episode. Jamie Foxx is playing Spawn.
Yeah, God.
Now, I've been doing some thinking about this since you and I talked about it briefly, and since they made the announcement. And I'm hearing a couple of things that are giving me some hope that this could be okay. They have guaranteed this is going to be a hard R movie.
Okay.
So there's that.
Wasn't the other one on?
What's that?
Was I don't remember. Was the original movie not the HBO one, but the original movie with Michael J. White, was that rated R or was that PG-13?
Well, the HBO thing was a series, just to clarify for people who are listening. But I'm looking that up right now. I think it was PG-13 though.
I think it was R.
You're right, it is, but it may not have been R. I don't know if it was a hard.
This one was soft R. It was soft R.
Yeah, this one they're guaranteeing is a hard R movie.
Good.
And then I'm thinking about his role in, I think it's Collateral with Tom Cruise.
Yeah.
Now
he was good at it.
Right. So, and while it's not an action movie, and you can argue with me whether that's a good movie or not, Any Given Sunday he did a really good job in too. And so...
Yeah.
I'm thinking if he takes it seriously and if they treat this like The Crow, it could be a really good movie.
Did you hear about The Crow remake, by the way?
I heard little things here and there, but I don't know. I mean, I heard that they were considering it. Is that locked in?
They were going to make it with Jason Momoa.
They need to stop making Crow movies, because every time they make a Crow movie, the actor dies.
No, not every time.
I think the first two did, didn't they?
No, just the first one. It was Brandon Lee, but I mean, Edward Furlong is still with us, and he was in the Crow, like whatever the fuck, Crow 7 or whatever the fuck it was.
All right.
But Jason Momoa, was signed up and everything, and then they just announced yesterday or the day before that it's canceled. He's out, and now the director's out too.
Yep, I'm seeing that right now. He's actually still on IMDb. They're still using his picture as the
promo.
Yeah.
So
now here's the interesting part. There's a release date for this movie. Now I don't know if that's going to change, but it's still listed on IMDb.
Well, IMDb may maybe not have caught up yet. This just happened.
But it has the article that are both off. That's on here. So
they may try and recast it, or they may just scrap it. I mean,
yeah,
it's been in development hell for a while.
Yeah, it's one I just think they need to let rest. You know, the first one's good. I believe it or not, I didn't see that for the first time until late last year. So
I was a late bloomer on it, but it wasn't. It was probably the past 8 years or so.
I liked it.
I saw my late teens.
I think what drew me in, besides the fact that Deb wanted me to watch it, is, and I can't remember his name, but the black guy who's also in Hackers.
Oh, the guy from Ghostbusters.
No. Ernie Hudson?
Yeah.
No, he's not in Hackers.
No, but he's in Crow.
No, but the guy I'm talking about is in Hackers and in The Crow.
Oh.
He plays Lord Nikon in Hackers.
I never saw Hackers.
Oh, you've got... All right, dude, look. That is your...
That's my homework?
That's your homework. You have to watch Hackers. It's Angelina Jolie's first movie, so she's in it. Johnny Lee Miller's in it.
Okay.
Matthew Lillard's in it.
I'm definitely going to see it now.
Oh, stop it. Did you ever see Con Air?
Yes, years ago.
You know the inmate who's like, I guess he's gay, but he's not. I don't know. They never really kind of say, but
no, I don't remember.
Yeah, anyway. He's in it. It's not a great movie, but it's fun. You know what I mean? It's one of those movies. And the last person who's in it that I'll mention. Did you ever see Short Circuit?
No.
What the fuck is wrong with you? Okay,
everything.
now you have 2 homework assignments. Actually 3, because you got to watch both Short Circuits and Hackers.
Well, I wanted to tell you, I tried looking up that Michael Keaton movie that you were talking about, where they were like from like a mental institute or whatever. And we don't have it at work, but I rented like 3 other Michael Keaton movies to make up for it. So I saw 2 Michael Keaton movies recently.
Which ones?
The Pacific Heights was one of them.
Didn't see it.
It's set in San Francisco, and it's
of course you watch a San Francisco movie.
Well, I didn't know it was a San Francisco movie until I picked it up. Believe it or not, I'm not a fan of San Francisco.
No, I believe it. I've heard that there's like that San Francisco-Oakland rivalry thing.
It's not even so much as that. It's not like deep cuts like you and like South Jersey and North Jersey and shit like that. It's not like that. It's just, to me, San Francisco is such an inconvenience to like drive to because there's never any parking. There's always traffic, and like I had one of my brothers lived in San Francisco for a while, and like I think I maybe visited him like twice when he lived out there. It was just such a pain in the ass to get to, and like there's, you know, like if I were to go anywhere, it'd be like North Beach, which is like Little Italy here for San Francisco.
All right, fair enough.
And I'm like, why the fuck would I want to even go there? If I want Italian food, I'll just go upstairs.
What was the other movie?
I don't remember what the title was, but it was a movie he directed, and he plays like a hitman, and he like gets after he like steps one from on top of a building in their window. A woman played by Kelly MacDonald, you know, the Scottish actress.
Not off the top of my head, but
do you know Kelly MacDonald? She was in. She's the underage woman in Trainspotting.
God, it's been so long.
The one Ewan McGregor fucks.
Yeah, I saw it, but I don't remember a lot of it.
Okay, well, she's that. She's like just moved to the city to like hide from her abusive husband or some shit. Played by Bobby Cannavale.
Okay, The Merry Gentleman.
The cop
That's the only one that says he's directed.
It might be that. It's got to be. If that's the only one he's directed, then it's got to be that.
A woman leaves an abusive relationship to begin a new life in a new city where she forms that's it.
Yeah, that's
suicidal hitman.
So I saw that. So he's a hitman, and he shoots a target, and he's like standing on the roof, and it's like snowing, and he's just sort of like, you know, just sort of relaxing. She comes out of the building, sees him up top, thinks he's gonna jump, and like says no, and then he falls backwards on the roof, not off the roof, and then they find the murderer, and the cops like think that she was the witness to the hitman, and then through circumstances, Michael Keaton and Kelly MacDonald become friendly and sort of semi-romantic to each other. And then, like, it's all about, like, you know, is she going to find out that he is a hitman and blah, blah, blah. And it was an interesting story. It's very kind of low-key. Very much like just, like, it was like a Broadway play kind of scenario, but filmed. Yeah. Because it's just a very simple story. And he was good in it. I have the other one that I haven't seen, Johnny Dangerously, where it's like one of his earlier films where he plays like a spy or something.
I don't want to get a whole thing on him, but there's one movie he's in that I really enjoy. It creeps me out, but I love it. It's White Noise.
Oh, I've seen that. That's good.
That's a good movie, yeah. Anyway, so you had a theory of, speaking of Michael Keaton, since he played the...
Vulture.
Oh, fuck. Vulture. What's your MCU theory you want to tell me about?
I had a customer, and we were talking about Avengers Infinity War.
Spoilers,
again,
people.
Spoilers if you guys haven't seen Infinity War yet. This is a spoiler, but only a spoiler for the... Well, yeah, it's a spoiler. So if you haven't seen it, you might want to skip this as well. Going back to that, this customer, who is an older woman, in her late 50s, she's in her mid 60s.
Okay.
She falls in that rare, woman geek. And she was I was into comics and Star Wars when, it was not okay for me to be into it.
Right.
I had to do that shit in secret. She's when the first cons were coming around and people were allowed to start dressing up, I dressed up to cover my face so it didn't reveal that I was a woman.
Okay.
Because she's she had told me she had been when she tried going out to cons and being public, oh, I love Spider-Man, I love Star Wars. Guys would be very aggressive, be you don't know what you're talking about, actually push her up against the wall, and be you don't belong here, real aggressive shit. I'm just oh god.
Yeah.
Yeah,
stupid.
So, but now it's normal, and she and I are talking about. I've known her for years because she's a customer, and we're talking about that, and we talk about who might come back. And I said, I think whoever Thanos killed before he snapped his fingers is dead. I think Loki's dead. And she said, are you sure Loki's dead? And I said, well, yeah, he could do the whole thing where he it's another, figment. It's another decoy of his or whatever. She's well, I think he's in Bruce Banner's mind. And I said, what? She's think about it. The opening scene where Thanos is destroyed the Asgardians, Hulk doesn't appear until later. So that means Hulk is hiding, which is something Hulk would not do. Or Bruce Banner was unconscious during the struggle, woke up, and then turned to the Hulk. And they timed it where it's we have a Hulk. And who says that is Loki. And Loki would be the last person to ever unleash the Hulk because he has a deep fear of the Hulk because the Hulk is the first one to actually lift him up and knock him the fuck around the ground like a ragdoll. And it even shows up again in Thor Ragnarok where the Hulk comes to the gladiator arena and you see Loki kind of oh no. Her theory is that Loki has implemented himself into Bruce Banner's mind or the Hulk's mind and is now a part of Hulk. So his physical body is killed by Thanos, but he still has remnants of himself in the Hulk or Bruce Banner, which would also explain why Bruce Banner and the Hulk are conflicting with each other. That Hulk is not wanting to come out. When we saw that, we attributed the fact that Hulk was just so fucking scared of Thanos because Thanos knocked him the fuck out, which we had never seen. So, but then her other addition to that was, I just had a point to it, but the fact that Bruce Banner, when he is shot, when he's sent back to New York, and he sees Tony Stark and Doctor Strange and Wong, he knows more about Thanos than he originally should, because he wouldn't have had a whole lot of time to find out who Thanos was, being and all about the Infinity Stones. But you know who would be Loki. Loki knows all about Thanos. Loki knows all about the Infinity Stones. So there's a strong possibility that this theory is pretty fucking sound. So does that mean we get Loki back? Possibly. But it also might explain why we never got to see the Hulk again. Because Loki is just it's not Hulk and Banner arguing. It's Hulk, Banner, and Loki arguing.
Well,
that's why he has a hard time unleashing the Hulk.
It could be. It's a good theory. I'd be curious to see if they do it. I'd be curious. Well, Rico, I'm looking at the cast listing here, and there are some conspicuous absences from this cast list. But the interesting thing is there's some conspicuous people listed that shouldn't be. So I'm not going to go through every single person, but the people we expect to be there are there, the ones that survived the snap. Black Panther's listed, though. So Chadwick Boseman is listed as a credit on this movie for the next one. Bucky's listed on this one. Drax is listed on this one. Here's an interesting thing now. Groot's listed, but guess what? It ain't Vin Diesel.
Who is it?
Terry Notary? I don't know how you say his last name.
Maybe he's adopting the voice or something. Maybe
I guess like he's been miscellaneous people in a lot of movies, and apparently he was the voice for Kong in Kong Skull Island.
Oh, okay.
But I'm trying to see if there's anything you've probably seen a lot more of these than I have. But like he's been in the Hobbit movies, but he was a goblin. Like he wasn't anyone of importance. In Avatar, he was Banshee in Avatar, the James Cameron movie, if that means anything.
Okay. No, not really.
Well, anyway, he's playing Teen Groot, as it's listed here. Okay. So those are all the main players that are listed. So conspicuous by their absences, Loki, to your theory, is not there. Tom Holland.
Well, they could also just not.
Right.
Tom Holland's not on it?
Not on here. Nope. No, but see, here's the thing, and Marvel's been really good about this kind of shit. Maybe they're still going to be in the movie, and they're just not listed here. Do you know what I mean? So I'm not ruling anything out, but he's not here.
They're not going to release it. They're not going to release the full cast until the movie is released. That's when they actually, because I dated someone who was in the industry. Like, we talked about that where, like, I found out there were people going to be in movies, and it wasn't listed. Because she said, well, we don't have to release the full cast list or the whole sheet of who was in it, including workers.
I just find it interesting that Black Panther and Winter Soldier, Bucky Barnes, are listed, you know?
Well, because because I think they'd confirmed they were going to be in it way back for the third one.
Well, okay. I mean, I guess that's possible, but
because I had heard that Cap was going to be in the fourth one before the third one had come out.
Right, but he didn't get snapped, so that makes sense.
But he didn't get snapped, but it was still a possibility.
Yeah, I guess. Yeah.
All these people that are coming back just kind of goes to the theory that they're going to come back and like there's going to be a scene in the Soul Realm or something.
Yeah, that may be. I don't know if we talked about it on either episode. I don't think we did, but because we weren't sure. I remember at one point we weren't sure where Ant-Man and the Wasp falls into the chronology of all this, and it turns out it's right smack dab between Civil War and Infinity War.
Well, Civil War and Infinity War there's a big gap. Like it's a couple years. Not that much of a
no. But, well, not really. I guess maybe more between Civil War and Black Panther then, because it's pre-Infinity War. The whole movie is pre-Infinity War, so there's no chance they get caught up in the snap. That's my point.
Well, it's pre-Infinity War, but like Tony says to Bruce in Infinity War, like, dude, we haven't seen each other for like a couple years. And he even says, like, I've been out in space for, like, 2 years or something?
Yeah. But that's Ragnarok. So, Ragnarok and I think Civil War are happening almost at the same time. I think they're concurrent to each other in the timeline.
Could be.
That's the thing with the Marvel Universe.
It's hard to keep track.
By the way, I don't know what's happening since we started all this, but every once in a while I get a grid that shows up on the screen. There's literally like a look. You ever use graphing paper?
Yeah.
Looks like graphing paper on the screen, and you're like behind this grid. It's really kind of funny looking. Anyway.
So yeah, that was her theory, and I'm like, wow, now that I say it out loud, it actually makes tremendous sense. But to go with the whole cast not being included thing, I saw Solo. You want to talk about movies that you saw? I saw Solo.
Yeah, I know you did.
I'm not going to spoil anything.
Okay.
I'm not going to spoil anything, but I am going to say, like, there was, like, before the movie came out, they had not cast, they had not made the casting public for a certain character, and then after I saw it and the movie was released, now it's on there. So don't spoil it for yourself. Don't look up the cast for Solo.
Okay.
But there is, like, a fucking crazy cameo that you would never expect.
Okay, cool.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, it's on my list of stuff to see. It's not that I don't want to see it, Rico. It's just, like, there's never enough time to do everything.
Now, I'm not saying go see it in theaters for the sake of go see it in theaters. I'm saying go see it soon so we can talk about it.
No, I get it, man. But there's also DP2 I want to see, and there's Life. In the middle of all that.
DP2 is good. There's also a really good bonus scene for DP2.
Well, there's always a good bonus scene for those.
But this one makes it is like so much better than the first one. And without telling you what it is, I predicted it before Steph and I were having dinner at my friend's restaurant. We were all going to go see it as soon as he got off work. And so we're all sort of sitting there and, like, Steph and I are theorizing about it. And I give her my theories of what is going to happen. And I had done no research. I hadn't looked it up because I don't want to spoil the movie for myself.
Right.
And I said, like, I went, like, completely far left. I'm thinking, if this is Deadpool, it's going to be fucking, like, really out there and totally break the fourth wall. And I told her my theory, and she's like, you know what? Maybe. I don't know if they're going to do that, but maybe. And then when it happened on screen, she grabbed me. She's like, oh my fuck, how'd you do that?
No, you're talking about
Steph, by the way?
Yeah.
Am I talking about what?
No, you're talking about like a bonus credit scene, kind of like what they did with the Ferris Bueller thing in the first one?
Yeah.
Okay.
Like, I never would have predicted the Ferris Bueller one, but I also was not expecting, like, you know, for the first Deadpool, you're sort of taken off guard. Now you see the first one, you kind of are like, okay, now what could they do?
Right. Tell me what you're going to say about Steph, but remind me to tell you about a Ryan Reynolds tweet I saw right before we started recording.
The Steph, I've never seen her have so much fun at a movie, like, as much as what she did with Deadpool 2. Because, like, when we went and saw Infinity War, she was, you know, she was just kind of like, meh. It's good. It's not my favorite, but it's okay. Like, same with Black Panther, and same with, like, when we saw Star Wars Last Jedi.
I was going to say, it's good to hear she enjoyed a movie finally.
Like, the only time she had something, like, similar was when we went and saw The Princess Bride. They did a re-showing of The Princess Bride.
Okay.
And Princess Bride is one of her all-time favorite movies. So she's, like, we're all kind of, like, yelling out the fucking lines.
Sure.
You know, sort of like a theater group thing, like, interactive kind of thing.
Sure.
She was talking through the whole film for Deadpool 2, because what Steph does, and this is not a slight at her, and I love her for this. It actually is really kind of like one of her little quirks that I love. If she finds something funny, she will repeat it. So frequently, because I'm always making her laugh, or I'm always trying to make her laugh, if I get her to that point where, like, she's laughing so hard and she repeats what I just said, like, she repeats the punchline, that means I know I got her.
Yeah.
So she is throughout the whole film at DP2 just saying the same jokes and slapping her knee and laughing hysterically. And my friend that we were with, and my friend loves Stephanie and he accepts her, he was mildly annoyed. He's like, she's talking the whole fucking thing.
Yeah.
And I explained it to him. Him later. I'm like, this is just what she does when she is really genuinely happy and in a good mood. So the fact that I got to see that was really good. And he said, okay, now I get it. It's just, you know, that's a big no-no for me and him personally. When people are talking throughout the film, but like talking, like, now who's this guy? Or like, oh my god, let's talk about this, and that's what pisses me off.
Yeah.
But if you're repeating the joke and laughing, then you at least are like you're in the movie, just laughing a little too aggressively.
Because I'm kind of with you. I hate when people talk through the movie, but like I'll find myself, if it's like an oh shit moment, I'm finding myself saying oh shit out loud. But I mean, that's the extent of my talking, things like that.
Yeah, I made the mistake of doing that with when I saw Last Jedi, because when that kamikaze lightspeed scene happened, when Snoke is like cut in half.
Yeah.
Like I was not remembering that like there's a bunch of kids and like young kids like in the theater. So when that happened, I just went, holy fuck! And then I look and I see like parents like from the front row looking back at me like, shut up, the kid's here, how dare you?
Yeah, well, I mean, I don't get that loud about it, but yeah, like I'll be sitting in my seat going, oh shit. Like I just said to you, so like if you were sitting next to me, you would hear me, but I don't know if 4 rows down would have heard me.
Yeah.
But yeah, by the way, I rewatched The Last Jedi last 2 nights ago. I did, and I know you're not as a fan, but it still holds up for me. I like it.
Well, all the power to you, man. I wish I could look at it without being so overly critical of it. I wish that I could just look at it as a movie. But I think it's if you took, even if it was just like they changed their perception of Luke, which is my biggest problem with it, it's still clunky. Like it's more clunky than any of the other ones I've seen.
You know what? I was watching.
It feels like 2 movies meshed together.
I could see that, but I was watching it again, and it's the first time I've watched it since we did our episode. So I was watching it like I was talking to you about how Steph kind of changed my perspective on Black Panther, which, Steph, if you're listening, it wasn't to the point of destruction, because I've had to have that conversation with her since. She's apologized more times than I can count for that.
She's good at that.
She is, and that's one of the things that seems to make her such an awesome person. Not that she apologizes, but that she's that caring. Anyway.
She cares,
yeah. But same thing with Star Wars. So I tried to start looking at it from not your perspective, but taking your points and watching it from that vision. And so you were talking on the Star Wars episode about you didn't like that the Force was like a battery, right? And I still don't get that from what I saw, and I really tried to look at it that way. What I think happened was it was like Odin. He just faded off. Like, I don't think it was he ran out of Force energy. I think he just died. Like, I think he shut himself off from it, but I don't think you run out of Force energy. I don't think that's what happened.
Well, that's what it was. To me, that's where the confusion was, because why did he die? Because he just... I mean, my whole thing is like we talked about, like, say Luke has to die. Like, no matter what, he's gonna die in Last Jedi. Why couldn't he have just died there with fighting Kylo? Couldn't it have just been like,
but he
Kylo bested him in lightsaber action or something?
So they put a different twist on... It's a twist on the Darth Vader Obi-Wan fight from A New Hope. It really is. That's how I'm looking at it. It's not the same fight exactly, but it's a twist on it. It's a different version of it. You're much hypercritical of this series than I ever will be. But I really, like I said, I really try to look at it from your perspective and your point of view, and I see how you got to your conclusions, but I still have to disagree with them. I mean, it's not even because I'm looking at it from a high level. Like, I really tried to deep dive look at it when I watched it again, and I'm still not seeing it from the same level. And we don't have to, and that's what's great about this show. But I'm just telling you, like, I really did look at it again from your angle.
Right.
So, that's not me saying you're wrong. I don't want it to come across that way to our listeners, but I don't see it the same way.
I know I'm right.
All right, fair enough. So let's start wrapping this thing up. I think we've done a lot, and we've covered a lot, and we started heavy, we're ending light, so, there you go. But I want to thank everybody for listening.
That was an interesting one.
Yeah, so thank you guys for listening. We will be back. Who knows what we're going to talk about, but hey, we always find something. So we'll talk to you on the next one.
Bye-bye.
Hey, everybody. CJ here with a few thank yous and to let you know how you can get in touch with and follow the show and us. You can listen to the show on the network Podcast Agogo at www.podcastagogo.com. iTunes, Stitcher, Google Play Music, and the search engine Listen Notes at www.listennotes.com. Go there and type in PodAskew, all one word, and you can stream us right there. Finally, at Podcast Garden at www.podcastgarden.com/podcast/PodAskew. Podcast Garden is the ideal place for all of your podcast hosting needs at a very affordable price. Go to iTunes, Stitcher, and Google Play Music to subscribe to the show, rate and comment on the show. Ratings help us get to the top of the list, and we'd love to be there. Thank you to Dubbed in English for our opening theme music, 96 Reasons. They're no longer online, but you can contact me for a copy of the full song or the entire Plan 9 EP. Thank you to Samuel Lemons for our closing music, Theme Askew. You can find his music on SoundCloud at www.soundcloud.com/Samuel-Lemons. Finally, our biggest thank you is to you, everyone, for listening. Rico and I really appreciate your time and look forward to bringing you another exciting episode soon. Hey, Rico.
You are now about to witness the strength of Bob Saget.
Damn it! PodAskew. PodAskew.